Tonight, we are going to witness the most anticipated live stream in the history of YouTube streaming for Warhammer 40k. Are you ready? Viewers, are you ready for the dozens watching live and the hundreds watching afterwards from Frost and Fist? Let's get ready to live stream!
Hey, Cousin Trey, what are you doing?
Oh, God. Please, stop calling me your cousin.
What? What are you talking about, man? You know we're cousins. Just let it happen.
What do you want?
I just want to try to see what you was doing. Hey, what's that over there?
That's a resin printer. Just don't touch it, okay? No, don't get any ideas. Don't touch it.
It sure does look cool.
Dude, seriously, if you touch it, I will hurt you.
Well, you feeling a little froggy, huh? You want a good old-fashioned ass whooping?
Bubba.
Can you hear me now? So Freak says it should be fixed on my end. Okay, so they can hear me. What about Kaiju? Can we hear Kaiju?
Can we hear Kaiju? Can anyone hear Kaiju?
Guys, it wouldn't be a Friday night live chat if we didn't have technical issues, guys. Sorry, guys. Of course, we tried to start up big with the return of Bubba on the channel, and of course, we've crashed the system now. The Matrix is shutting down. Anyways, while he sorts that out, guys, what is up, beautiful people? It's your Wolfbrother Methos Kutranada, and you can't hear him, but below me is Freak. And guys, we have an awesome guest for you guys tonight. We have KaijuShorts, one of my favorite channels to follow, especially non-40k stuff. This is the place to go, and he collects a lot of stuff that is near and dear to my heart for the young Mythos growing up. Things like Godzilla, things like Gundam, and of course, you know, Kaiju is in the name. So, Kaiju, tell us a little bit about yourself, my friend.
Great. Thanks very much. I just want to say just straight away, I love what you guys do, and I feel really flattered and honored that you guys invited me on. As for what I do, I just talk a bunch of nonsense about monsters. Just a huge fan. The Japanese stuff, the American stuff, like the Harryhausen kind of things, the stop motion, I'm a massive fan of. Collect a lot of toys, and I play around with some model kits, and because of people like yourselves and Weather Pig, I'm starting to get back into my G-dub stuff. So after a pretty significant break, it's really cool to see what's changed and what's not.
it's a perfect time to be jumping back in too, since everything is changing. You know, you can imagine if you had started learning just a little while ago, a couple weeks, couple months even.
Bought all the robots.
Yeah, and then everything changes. That'd probably be real tough. Freak and I came in I don't know, I think I came in about a year before the 8th edition changed, but Freak was really just starting to get a hold of the rules and, you know, how things go. And then it was a whole new system. He was not a happy Freak. He was not a happy Freak.
I heard it was 8th made quite a few significant changes.
Freak was one of the biggest changes, for sure.
And I know I was talking to Dee from Gamecraft Dragon, and when we were both playing the first time, the different versions didn't change as significantly as they have later on, which, it's been interesting. So, yeah, I'm definitely happy to come in with a clean slate.
You know, it'll be cool, too, because obviously when we start talking about stuff tonight, Freak and I are going to have a very biased kind of opinion because we were both very, very comfortable in our 8th edition ways. But you having been out since all the way back in 3rd edition, you're really kind of coming to this back with a fresh set of eyes. Yeah.
I'm going to be, like, in my daying the whole time. Just, yeah.
So fresh itch.
Yeah.
Somewhere between a fresh set of eyes and the Clint Eastwood get off my lawn set of eyes.
Exactly. Just Clint Eastwood, but with different glasses, maybe. That's what we'll call it.
Oh, man. So we've got some love here from the chat. Heinrich Botha says, hey, Kaiju. No, where are you from, Kaiju?
I am, other side of the world, pretty much.
So he is part of that Codex Australia, guys, that we all see internet memed with the Tyranids.
That's right. I have a living army of spiders and snakes over here. That's why if you see me kind of glance over, the lid's coming a little loose. One of them's getting very smart. So.
Can anyone hear the Freakalicioso? That's weird. It's the second time we've had this problem too, where me and the guest can talk, but for some reason not you. Right on. I'm going to catch up with the chat while you do that. Commodore says, hey, everyone. Lupus Canis says, Ross. Heinrich Botha says, hello. And Commodore says, Phalanx has entered high orbit. Gamecraft Dragon says, yo. Dazrock, my brother Kushranada says, oi there, folks. The Nerd Life, good to see you in the chat, you beautiful man, says, aloha. X-Gear Commander says, hello all, and happy freaking Friday. Mini Warmutt, Brian says, Pizza, Pizza. That reminds me of the Little Caesars commercials from way back when. Got some love for Bubba in the chat. And Gamecraft Dragon, you know what? You have it. Because you weren't here last week. The chat has not seen that red box behind you before. But yeah, that's going to be part of his hobby update. You know, if which he'll talk about if we can ever talk to you guys. He's got a hobby update he wants to share with you guys.
Or it's going to be just the wildest interpretive dance you've ever seen in your lives.
We may have to, Freak, if we can't sort your audio, we may just have to go with visual overwhelming and just go straight into our Chippendales routine, right? Just give the visual only show. That's crazy. Okay, so is that going to disconnect us? Okay. Okay, so the YouTube chat is open. Okay. All right, so if you guys will bear with us just a second, we're going to turn it off and turn it back on and see if that works. We should not be gone for more than a minute. I really apologize, guys, for the technical difficulties again. It is. Yeah.
Someone suggested turning off the background music.
Yeah. That's crazy. All right. So again, apologize, guys. Again, we are going to turn it off and turn it back on. And I beg you, please hold with us for just a minute. Okay.
To PDS. I guess we're back on.
What?
Oh my God. Okay, let me just kill this music here.
All right, they heard you, freak.
You good thing it's very limited to what you just heard, because I've been saying a lot of things where nobody else can hear me. This was an absolutely cluster blank. Fill that in that little.
Yeah, for a while we couldn't even hear him. Like even the sound on himself had stopped on our end.
Yeah, and I don't know what happened to my mic. And by the way, it's like, why did Windows decide this was the perfect time to do a Windows update? Yeah.
On top of that, you're hearing him through his camera because his relatively new microphone chose now to die as well. So maybe it just didn't get along with the Windows update.
I'm absolutely.
We have to, I don't know, do a driver check or something.
I don't know. I have to check it out and see what's going on. But I mean, and typically when Windows updates happen, it tends to screw things up. So I got to find out. I got to make sure this mic is working okay. I've got another. Worst case scenario, I'm just going to ditch this one, and I've got a newer computer, so I may just take a snapshot of my OBS here and run it off of the new computer, and just be done with it. So anyway, I'm absolutely freaking livid. I'm so sorry, guys. You know what, Methos? Can we start this over? Because there's some people that didn't even. Again, I think we owe it to our guest.
Actually, yeah. So I was thinking we should start this over from the beginning for two reasons. First of all, fresh start, right? It'll help us get, recover our topics with, when it was broken, kind of a broken introduction. We want to respect this amazing guest we have
Absolutely.
on. But also because when we go back and this post to YouTube, I want to come back and use the YouTube editor and just slice off the new beginning, right?
That would be great.
So anybody who's watching from the archives won't have to deal with the hour of food bar. So
yes, bar of food. It's too much of that. All right, guys, stand by.
Here we go again.
Tonight, we are going to witness the most anticipated live stream in the history of YouTube streaming for Warhammer 40k. Are you ready? Viewers, are you ready for the dozens watching live and the hundreds watching afterwards from Frost and Fist? Let's get ready to live stream!
Hey, Cousin Trey, what are you doing? Oh, God. Please, stop calling me your cousin.
What? What are you talking about, man? You know we're cousins. Just let it happen. What do you want? I just want to try to see what you was doing. Hey, what's that over there? That's a resin printer. Just don't touch it, okay?
No, don't get any ideas. Don't touch it.
It sure does look cool.
Dude, seriously, if you touch it, I will hurt you.
Well, you feel a little froggy, huh? You want a good old-fashioned ass whooping?
Bubba. And we are back. This time
right.
working somehow, some way.
All right, once again,
The
what
hamster
is
wheels are turning.
Wolfbrother Methos?
Outrage!
And he really is. Welcome to the Frost and Fist. Welcome to the Friday Night Live Chat. Finally, I'm going to have to go back and switch out this current thumbnail for back to the streaming from an actual potato one. Except I actually really like tonight's thumbnail.
And our
Guys, we got
special guest!
We have a special guest indeed, guys, and we are super hyped. We have unfortunately just had him chatting away here with me, having to put up with me while we try and sort things out. But he's been a really great sport about it so far. Guys, please welcome the fantastic channel, KaijuShorts. I'm going to give him a short intro real quick because, again, he is one of my favorite non-40K channels. I mean, his channel is almost directly a slice of my childhood, you know, covering things from Godzilla, which I absolutely loved growing up. Things like he's got some Gundam stuff in there. Kaiju is in the name. And then, of course, I think one oddball sideball project that I really enjoyed that also took me back to my childhood was your Super Ghouls and Goblins guy. That was pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Anyways, introduce yourself a little bit for anyone who may not know you, although I'm pretty sure most people watching in our chat have definitely been a fan of yours as well. But tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name's Al. I'm from Australia. I collect monster toys. I like to do monster kits and whatever kind of interesting things I can find. I played 40K back in 3rd edition, had a bunch of armies. I think I had 3 or 4 40K armies, maybe 3 or 4 fantasy, and I maybe played 1 army. I just liked collecting them and painting them and converting. So, yeah, I found you guys through the Weather Pig, who's obviously, you know, has a legion of followers himself. And, it's been really cool to get back into the hobby through cool people like yourselves. So.
That is so awesome. I'm so glad to see you back in the hobby too, because hearing that you were around from 3rd edition time, and then of course your current AdMech project looks great so far. So it's cool, and we're going to get some of that perspective of an old veteran from 3rd edition going into 9th edition. That'll be cool. Those who are around a little bit before everything exploded on our channel earlier tonight probably know that I mentioned that Freak and I are very biased because we're attached to our simplified 8th edition ways.
Yeah.
And we felt like we were going from a cluster F of rules in 7th edition into a very relatively smooth process with 8th edition. And so we got a little bit of bias for the simplification of 8th edition, but we're going to get to hear Kaiju's relatively fresh eyes going from all the way from 3rd, skipping straight to 9th. That'll be cool.
If you guys don't know what we're laughing about, I posted, he's like the Jesus of Australia fighting against the spiders for our sins. Yes! And Lady Dragon wants to draw that now. Epic. Freaking epic. You see the kind of crap we start here?
I love it. That's awesome.
I will fight these spiders for you. I don't know why I gave that accent, just, I will fight these feathers just for you. You just got that look, like.
Just turned Spanish for a second there.
Yeah. It's like, Veronica. It's like, holy crap.
It's for las señoritas.
For las señoritas. Veronica. Hey, if you do that again, Lady Dragon's going to lose her stuff. You got to watch it now. Be careful. So, just saying. All right, sorry.
So, Kaiju looks like he'd fit in the fire circle with my heathen brothers and sisters when we gather to celebrate our ancestors. So we've got a Viking, a potential Viking comment here. We've got, we've also got a Cal Kaiju, so a bit of a Cal Drogo reference to your looks. Mini Warmutt says, "Lady would like to see you in just a bow tie." I'm sure that's a popular, frequent internet request for you.
I think so, too.
And we were okay. A little behind the scenes stuff. I went with a title for our thumbnail that was relative to tonight's topic. However, my first thought, because of the name KaijuShorts, was to title tonight's episode "Bow Ties and Shorts" and Bow Ties and KaijuShorts.
That would have been great. Why didn't you go with that?
Because relative to was it a search engine optimization? Trying to keep it trendy.
The professional.
And now, of course, I wanted to jump in on that internet trend, so that way everybody could come to our earlier shit show.
Oh, we would have gotten a lot of hits. I promise you that. Yeah, we would have broken the of course, they would be disappointed once they reached us. I was like, oh, wait, this is not what I was thinking.
Roll back the stone, check to see if the spiders and snakes, let the spiders and snakes crawl it, check to see if he's in the cave. That's awesome. So, I don't hear a bad observation of you, Kaiju. We've got, first of all, you've been added to the Chippendales roster.
Yep.
So we have Skipper Kaiju.
Yep.
We have Khal Drogo Kaiju. We have Viking Kaiju. We have Rider of Rohan Kaiju in the chat.
Man.
And, of course, the Jesus of Australia. There's not a bad reference here.
They're even asking if you can sing. Can you sing?
No.
Oh,
I tried it once and I melted someone. So
the sudden drop of face into the serious face to say no.
He's like, no.
We didn't speak about that, don't we?
Oh man.
Well, this is all going straight on my LinkedIn profile, guys. So I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, it's a good resume, Yeah, it's Chippendales, Jesus of Australia, just start listing.
Gamecraft Dragon says he played 3rd edition, and he said you had to have been about 5 when 3rd edition was out. Your retort, good sir?
Be 6 years old. No. I think
Preserved well.
3rd ed, I would have been just out of university or just finishing. So,
oh wow!
Oh
Well, you wear it well, good sir.
Oh my god! Freaking Lady Dragon! Isn't Chippendales in Australia called
Aussies are outstanding specimens.
They are. Did you see what Lady Dragon wrote?
Isn't Chippendales in Australia called Thunder from Down Under?
Damn right.
Non-stop hobby content, guys. Non-stop hobby content. I just want you guys to know we talked about this in advance. We hit each other up on Wednesday, I want to say, and just double checked. Hey, are we all good for the show this Friday? Contrary to how it looks at the beginning of tonight's episode, we all said yes at the time. but we did say automatically because we mentioned, there's going to be probably rules discussed tonight, and he's mentioned he hadn't played since 3rd edition. Like, I don't know if this is the right episode for me to come. I might derail. I said, no, we derail ourselves all the time. Like, we have I think the way Freak and I put it is that we have the derail is the main course with the side of news and
pretty much
the side of news and main topic.
It's like, it's like the little peas little box of peas on the side, and just a big slap of BS. There you go.
Clay Dog, I must have forgotten, my brother, as long as I've been following your work, I must have forgotten that you were Aussie.
Oh.
That doesn't ring a recollection whatsoever.
I mean, I guess I don't.
Although, I mean, I'm a big fan, okay? When I'm watching Ultimate Beastmaster, I'm always cheering, Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi.
But they don't. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the wargaming and the videos, unless I'm doing something like eating a Vegemite sandwich, it doesn't come up a huge amount, I guess. But, I do. I was speaking to a weather pig a while ago, and where you can kind of tell if someone has kind of a more of a neutral accent. The idioms, the Australian idioms that you'll hear, just are dead giveaways, because it's just some of the most ridiculous things you'd ever hear.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I just thought of one in my head, but it's not completely PG. So yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's funny.
Jigs?
Just real quick,
Jigs?
it's kind of funny because I'm watching the amount of people in our chat. I'm thinking there are more and more people coming on our chat, just incrementally.
Yeah.
Like, they're not here to see us, Kaiju. I'm just telling you right now. They had enough of our crap. Just saying.
Oh man, yeah, you've saved the chat, Kaiju. We're up to 17 now.
It's because it's so small. While you weren't looking, I kind of like fired off a little meat pie flare, and all the Australians just go, "That's out. Let's go."
Oh, God.
We have Jigs Wah in the comment, fellow orc player, by the way. He says, Freaking Methos got a good platform going right now.
Thank you so much.
Definitely, whatever you do, definitely don't look at the first hour of this show.
Yeah, we're so sorry. And it's sad to say, guys, we were prepared, and something came out of my mouth. You know what it was? We're ahead of schedule.
Oh, yeah, he said... Oh my God, we're actually on time, and I warned him. I said, "Don't say that yet."
He said it. He said that to me, and I'm like, "Oh, come on, what could go wrong?"
Oh, he did say what could possibly go wrong. What's the worst thing? You said the Darien line.
Bloody hell! I'm like, you gotta be. I said that. I was like, dude, I'm serious. We had everything ahead of schedule. We were ahead. We were ready to go. Everything was checking out.
Oh man!
We got there in the end.
Queensland. You cannot be my age. Crawls into a corner and dies of old age. Apparently, you're similar in age to Gamecraft Dragon.
How old is that? I missed that. I'm sorry. How old was that, Kaiju? I missed that.
I'll be 38 in about 3 weeks, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very good. Actually, that puts you at a very similar age to me. Actually, I mean, I'm a little bit younger, but we could have been in the same high school theoretically. So
I'm gonna go and I'm gonna go and die of old age now. I'll see y'all later.
Freak Methos, this is a teaching moment. Marry your ridiculousness with camera friendly guests, people who ignore your potato disc. Yes.
That's what happened. That's what we did.
We were on 30 minutes before everything started.
Yep.
We tested the cameras, we tested OBS, we literally tested everything. It wasn't until we played the video for you guys and Freak told Bubba not to touch anything, and everything went to shit.
Yep, everything just.
We actually did have everything up and running and testing early. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I kept telling, don't touch anything.
Oh man,
I'm gonna kick Bubba in the balls.
That's funny. Do Australians have regional accents like we have here in the States? I'm told yes.
Yeah. I have some friends in the far north of Queensland where that viewer was from, and he, big guy, one of the martial arts guys in the doing the Filipino stuff I was telling you about, Mythos, and he speaks with the pitch of a mosquito. It is, and he talks really fast as well. It's like you can kind of like hear him like a fly at night. He just goes, you turn around, there's this guy.
And, you know, speaking of regional accents, so like I see stages like you have compared to the other Australian YouTubers that I enjoy following, you have a much softer accent. It's not as harsh. And then like Weather Pigs has a much more pronounced accent than you. Yeah, from an American point of view, of course. Obviously, nobody thinks that they have an accent themselves, right? But like from my point of view, like Weather Pig has a more pronounced accent than you. But then if we jump further down that spectrum, like the Pale Orc, another Australian YouTuber I enjoy following, has, you know, like a very, very noticeable Australian accent. So it's just interesting to see, you know, kind of the different styles.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't even have any idea where any of you live, by the way. So you guys could be next door to each other for all I know.
Hey, Weather Pig, he doesn't know where we live.
You are the first person that made him spit out his drink. Congratulations. You did it.
Almost went right all over the camera. Oh, man. It's not his accent, Kaiju. It's just very silky spoken, says the Gamecraft Dragon.
Wow.
Admittedly, I have to say that's one of the things when I first, you know, obviously I clicked on your channel because Weather Pig directed me and said, hey, I think you'd like this guy. And because we had been talking about Gundams and stuff like that. Then we got to talking about monsters. And he's like, hey, I really think you'd enjoy Kaiju's content. So I was like, oh, sweet, I'll go check him out. And of course, I immediately, you know, like I said, your content's like a slice of my childhood. I love the content. But also, your voice is very easy to listen to. Like, you have a very Australian Morgan Freeman kind of soothing voice. Like, I could just probably hear you. You would make a great narrator. You know, if you could get into something like audiobook narration, I think you'd be great for something like that.
Someone actually told me that this morning. The last video I put up, one of my friends heard her back last night, and she said that she just listened to my last video and just said, like, you've actually got a really good voice. I never noticed it because, you know, you're so animated and you're all over the place the majority of the time. But if you just sat there and stopped moving for a little while, we would really appreciate your voice.
That can be true. I must have taken 100 screenshots earlier today trying to get you still enough for a picture for the thumbnail tonight.
I can't even edit my own videos because I tend to string my sentences together. Mm-hmm. So if I realize that I'm starting to talk complete nonsense, I'll try and go to the start of the sentence, but I've strung together two words that don't fit together whatsoever, but I've somehow made it one syllable and one sound.
I've done that so many times. I'm looking for the break, and I'm like, why are these words the same? Like, it's just, there's no pause or break. Why do I do this to myself?
We excel in nonsense speak here. You're in good hands.
Excellent.
Lady Dragon says if you did narrate any audiobooks, she would buy them, just so you know.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Lady D.
Hellwork says you should voice Alfaris for the audio novels for the Black Library.
Wow.
D says you should do Lehman Russ because you'd have that velvety growl.
Oh yeah. I don't have my my mic.
Are you familiar with the Old Spice commercials? Like, look at your man. Look back at me.
Yes, I'm on a hook. Yeah.
Can you do one of those bits real quick? Because Mini Warma just compared you to that voice.
I don't know them well enough off the top of my head, unfortunately.
Just freestyle it. It's okay.
I can't believe you put him on the spot.
Actually, Mini War might put him on the spot, but yeah, also me.
Oh yeah.
This is what I do to guests. I'm sorry.
Yes, he does.
I don't even do it on purpose.
No, he just
I
does
see
it.
something in the chat, and it makes me go squirrel.
It's not.
And while I'm off,
I apologize for that. Wait.
while I'm off chasing the squirrel, I end up putting our guest on the spot.
I'm really sorry about that. I promise it.
Lady Dragon says you have a sexy DJ voice. Oh no, I think that's a Freak. Your sexy DJ voice is still my favorite. And
I can't do it without my mic.
Phoenix says, "Do ASMR, please. Do ASMR." Well, now you have to do a KaijuShorts ASMR video when you get a chance.
I'll see what I can do. But how about hello, Lady D. Look at your man. Now look back at your me. Now look back at your man. Now back to me. Sadly, he isn't me. But he is Big D, who is a better man. But if he started using scented body wash, something Old Spice flavor. That's all I get.
That's awesome.
Okay, now Lady D and Big D are needing counseling. Good job, Methos. Way to go. We apologize. We are the biggest home wreckers here on the YouTube's channel. Sorry, not sorry.
This is not responsible for any marriage counseling sessions that may occur as a result of watching the Friday Night Live chat.
Yeah.
Anyway, round of applause for KaijuShorts, guys. Round of
Good
applause.
job.
Speaking of round of applause for KaijuShorts, let's take a look at some of his awesome work, Freakaliciousness. If you'll pull up in some of our hobby update, we can take a look at what they might expect to find on the KaijuShorts channel.
All right, let's see what we got here. Bear with me here. Oh. All right, the KaijuShorts, right? That's what we're looking at?
Yep, KaijuShorts.
Okay, are we
Not
doing
looking
not
at,
the art,
just
but
so
we're looking at
everybody
the...
knows, I don't want to get the chat too excited. We're not looking at Kaiju's shorts. We're just looking at what you might find on the channel Kaiju
There we
Shorts.
go. Okay, so
I
we're
wanted
doing
to clarify.
his art, right? Are we doing
That's not for this one.
the stuff on the Art of the Week, Methos?
I did post on Art of the
channel.
Week, but if you look at the FNF Kaiju crossover, I put mine and his hobby update stuff.
Gotcha. Come on. Yes, okay.
G'day. Weather Pig, good to see you.
Weather Pig! Welcome back. Thanks for not running off. Okay.
I'm trying to say that a little more like him every time I read it in his comments. I hope I'm getting a little closer.
Dynamite. There we go. All right.
You mean content on his channel? No way. Kaiju, my man, tell us about some of this ad mech you're working on.
Mechicide.
So this is a more of just a hobby project that I'm working on. So I didn't really grab these guys with the intention on playing again, but yeah, I think I just had a bit of a felt like I was missing out just looking at all the cool stuff that you guys were doing. So went through the armies. I didn't want to pick something that I played before, and AdMech looked really interesting. And yeah, I wanted to give them a bit of a Necron glow just to mess around a little bit, because I always figure who's a better machine god than the Necrons. So yeah, I'm just trying to do little things. I'm working on the June crawler at the moment, which yeah, is coming along, but I keep changing my mind with how I want to do it, I guess. So I was going to just go paint it like a Gundam, and then I decided to use a bit of emerald in there for some reason, and then I thought, oh, that looks pretty good. And then I looked at the actual Vanguard that I painted and just thought, like, am I going to have to redo this?
I know that feeling. Oh, damn it, I've made an improvement. Now I've got to go back, fix these, or deal with the fact that they look different.
Yeah, because with the actual kaiju models, it's always very self-contained, so I can paint it however ridiculously I want it. So it's really weird trying to go back to painting a cohesive group now. So yeah.
You could, and usually do kind of whether it's the monsters, it's either very organic, right, or if it's the Gundam, it's very robotic, right? And usually
Yeah.
both of those kind of allow for a lot of artistic freedom, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
now you've got some repetition to do,
Yeah, which is really weird because with a Gundam, I usually just bash it up, just weather it really bad, and see how I go. And with the organic stuff, I just I can just mess around with whatever I want with no fear of having to ever do it again. So if I do it and someone says, "Oh, could you paint me one of those?" And it wouldn't look the same because I literally can't remember how that worked. So yeah, trying to get the paints right. It's an interesting concept.
So one of the comments says, have you ever thought of painting anything from the Pacific Rim movies? But you actually got a couple of those in your collection, right?
Yeah, I actually have a couple of the Jaegers from the Pacific Rim Uprising movie. They released them like Gundam kits. I actually threw one out because it was the first kind of plastic kit that I put together, and had no idea what it was doing, and I managed to break its spine and its neck. And
that's the model. I heard your interview with the Weather Pig, and I remember you mentioning the model you broke the spine of. But that's the one, I guess.
I was just trying to do something that I saw on YouTube, and someone said, "Oh, if you want to clean up your panel lining, use an eraser." And I just thought, well, there's a whole lot of friction here, but I'm just going to keep doing it because that guy told me to do it. And broke his head off, snapped his spine, and yeah, that was my first kit.
That was the hardcore Bane move.
Exactly.
Tell us a little bit about this picture here with you and the bowl of ramen.
So, this was for another channel. They have a monthly photo challenge, I guess, and this one was for just kaiju selfies. So take a photo with your toys. So I decided to recreate my logo with the Ghidorah t-shirt and the 4 monsters around where my legs are. So yeah, I got a bit of a reputation for just eating a quite unhealthy amount of instant ramen. So,
Nice.
yeah, that's where that comes from.
We're all about that around here. No judgment at all.
I gotta say, it was probably very assuming that was a bowl of ramen, but some reason I just got the vibe, like looking at the picture.
Yeah. No, there's actually I had to take a few takes, and there's not actually any soup left in the bowl because I kind of someone said, "Oh, why isn't there any noodles coming off the chopsticks?" I ate it.
Like, duh.
Too many takes.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, same state as Kaiju. Okay, so you and the Weather Pig, you weren't really joking when you
right?
Weather Pig earlier.
I mean, they could just throw a stone at his house. Hey, Mike, you waking up now?
What's a good word?
What's the good word, mate?
All right, this is a Mecha Godzilla, right?
Yeah. This is the Aoshima model kit. So this was another plastic build. It was a real pain, actually. I did just the tail watching Weather Pig I think he did a paint with me stream that went for I think 3 hours, and I only finished the tail in that model. It was just not a pleasant build.
Is this the one that you guys talked about during the live stream, or not live stream, but the podcast that has the rubber sleeve on the inside?
Yeah. He has a slightly different kit, but it's the same Mechagodzilla, just a slightly different time frame.
So, Freak, imagine you're building an Imperial Knight or a big ass dreadnought, and you have an internal skeleton and then a rubber sleeve, and then you build armor parts on top of that. And if anything pops out of place, You've got to fix it through the rubber sleeve.
No, no, not, no, no, And again, no.
I ended up because the actual the plastic that they use doesn't look amazing. I know Weatherpig really wants to paint his as well, but wanting to pull it apart to paint the bits and put it back together is not great. But I found a chrome paint pen, so that's why mine's looking pretty shiny and fancy.
It looks fantastic. If any of you are interested in the chrome paint pen he used to paint this Godzilla, this Mecha Godzilla, go over to his channel. He's got a whole video on it.
Yeah, it's it looks good because of the pen. Or I'm literally just like coloring between the lines.
Freakalicious, I'm kind of driving the interview portion right now, and I realize I haven't really let you say much. Do you have any questions or comments you want to give our amazing guest here?
I don't know. I thought my mic was still off. No, I'm just joking. No, I'm just driving. Oh no, that's not what I wanted to do. So I think there's a couple of questions out there that I think Commodore asked was, or is it? Just saw it on it. How did you come up with your name? Which would be one of my questions.
One of my friends actually came up with it. The 4 monsters at the bottom of that picture with the bowl of ramen, I actually have tattooed on my legs. And one of my friends, in Australia, we call short pants shorts. So one of my friends said, "Oh, it's like you're wearing kaiju shorts." And I like that. I stole it.
That's awesome.
And, yeah, I pay royalties every time I make money, which I do. So fantastic.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Don't ask him that. Don't ask him what. Kaiju, you ever thought of painting? Oh, Pacific Rim. Gotcha. Just going to sit here and sigh over the hotties.
Yeah,
so
it's
Lady
right
Dragon
now.
is appreciating the show. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for saving the show, Kaiju, my man.
Yes. Yes, we couldn't have done it without you. Literally, really. We would have come back to crickets.
So
if I wasn't here, you would have come back to me.
So there's a question for all three of us, since we're talking about Godzilla. Brian from Mini Warmup would like to know whether we think Godzilla or King Kong would win in a fight.
I say Godzilla. Hold on, I'll switch it back because I want them to see my. I say Godzilla.
I grew up as a Godzilla fanboy too. I got to give it straight to our boy,
Yep.
Godzilla.
Yep.
You know, between the radiation breath and the power jaws and that big ass tail, I got to give it to our boy.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm the same. I would just think, in theory, Godzilla could just blast away. But we'll see what happens in the movie. I think they will have to make it a fair fight somehow. So. Oh,
sure. I was very, very disappointed with. Oh, I'm going to say the wrong number now, and you can correct me because I do this all the time. Little known fact: if I don't know the number of something, I'll just throw out a number and wait for someone to correct me. So, in the '80s movie, I guess, of Godzilla versus King Kong versus Godzilla, I was very irritated at the ending because obviously, I grew up as a Godzilla fanboy, so I was happy with that.
Yeah, I think I like the movie much more for the memes that came out of it than the movie itself. Just that there's an "Eat Your Vegetables" meme, which is just Kong ramming a tree into Godzilla's face. It's pretty good.
I don't know how I've not seen this meme before, but that's awesome. Okay, if anyone hears a little noise on my end, it is getting close to the 4th here, and so there are people popping fireworks here in the neighborhood. So, Kazuki is the best.
All right.
+1 on KaijuShorts man card. Nice. If y'all don't understand my wife, the sun goes down and her filter goes off. I have to keep a leash on her in public.
God.
All gravy, baby.
You
A lot of people agree. Godzilla will roast his balls. Godzilla will beat his monkey ass. Godzilla all the way. What is a king to a god?
Oh man, that's still funny.
And lady,
evil grins.
she always appreciates this show. So, wow, that sounds literally outside our door.
Yeah, I hear it. I hear it now. I can actually hear it. Hey, social distancing, you morons!
My poor puppy. She gets so scared with this stuff.
Oh, poor baby.
Okay, baby. It's all right. Daddy's right here, baby. All right, so tell us about this burning Godzilla here.
This is a Kyoto kit. So it's comes in maybe 7 or 8 main pieces, plus about 16 for the fins on his back. It was pretty interesting to paint because obviously the burning patches, I really wanted to build them up with a really like a dark kind of bit of more of a molten feel to it, which I only use Vallejo paints at the moment. So I was playing around with a lot of fluoro and then darkening it all.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's. I think I was talking to Weatherpig. How I like to paint is I like to get everything pretty intense and then just kind of wash black over the entire thing.
I remember that in the podcast, and that reminds me, we one of mine and Freak's favorite painters is Kenny Boucher, and he always says take it to 11 and wash it back down to 10.
Yeah.
So we're from the same theory or mindset there.
Speaking of painting, what do you do any airbrushing at all, Kaiju, or you do everything manual brush?
I do everything with the brush at the moment. I do have I have an airbrush that I've just bought a compressor for quite recently, and I've said once I finish what was on my half done pile, I'll get to it. And yeah, I'm just that lazy. I still haven't gotten to it yet.
No, dude. I'm no. Hey, look, let me tell you something. And the reason why I asked is because it's when you have a hard time trying to see, identify whether it's been airbrushed or manually painted. That's a good thing because this is beautiful. The glow effect. I mean, you must have done some great job glazing it. I mean, it looks really good, man.
Your Magma effects are absolutely tight.
Absolutely,
they're fantastic.
No, thank you very much.
And then
Go
ahead.
There's a lot of build up going in, but also some sneaky camera angles and distancing going on. So I won't take complete credit for anything like that.
Well, it kept the reptilian look. It looks great. Yeah.
Thank you.
One of the other things I wanted to bring up, I think you talked about in your video where you showcase this, that the package comes with, a picture on the box of kind of where the glows go, but there's no demarcation on the model itself on where to put these glow effects, right? So you kind of had to freehand it all in there, right? And decide where you were going to make it glow?
Yeah. I was hoping that there was going to be at least some kind of guides for it, but no, nothing.
Wow.
But,
that's incredible. You went in there and just decided that where you were going to make all the magma effects, and it looks incredible.
Yeah. So I know when I showed it, I had a couple of the kind of toy collectors that are all about the suit accuracy, and they said, he doesn't have that many burning patches down his tail. And thank you for that criticism. Appreciate it. Keep that in mind the next time I paint this particular kit.
Man, I always say, you do you, boo. I mean, I'd never let people's, complaints about accuracy hinder your artistic, ooh, God, don't smack the microphone, your artistic inspiration, right? Just go with your motivation, go with your inspiration.
Yeah, definitely.
Work in that art. I mean, this is obviously biased advice from a guy who's got 3 armies that aren't painted the right colors. So, I mean, I'm all about going with what motivates you, what your artistic flair is. Speaking of your art, thank you for joining us, Mini War Mutt. Enjoy your time with the wife. KaijuShorts, you rock, Mini War Mutt says on his way out.
Hey, Brian.
And yes, Weatherpig did explain the rivet counters to me. They scare me.
Yeah, I I think his tanks and the military stuff, that would just be a whole nother world.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And before I knew what a rivet counter was, like I said, I was watching on Basic Miniature Paintings channel, which is an incredible historical channel. But the fact that the chat really just got after him because his pants weren't the right shade of blue or whatever, that just blew my mind. You know, like, wow.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I'm part colorblind as well. So when someone says, "Oh, you know, this isn't the right green," I'm like, all of these greens look the same to me. Shut up.
Wow. That's even the fact that you do such killer paint jobs is even more impressive for it. Commodore wants to know, what is the hardest kit you've ever had to build and paint? Or paint? Or one of each?
I think the Curio, actually. That it was just such a nightmare. Yeah, I think just when it comes down to putting it together, it just was not the greatest build, and yeah, trying to paint all the curves with the chrome pen. I mean, I probably really shot myself in the foot with making the decision for it, but if I'd done it when it was
a fantastic effect, though. I mean,
yeah, I am happy with it, but yeah, it was an interesting thing to pick.
You said your plan going forward is to get another one of those liquid pens and milk it so you can do the details?
Yeah, I kind of need, because at the very end of the tail, the bits get too small to use the pen properly. So I kind of need to bleed one and either use a brush or get a different pen.
Similarly, only less professional than what you did. I always called them my year one Space Wolves before I learned how to paint. You know, I was basically following a whole bunch of shortcuts because my first year of doing this, which was about 5 years ago, I didn't believe I had the skills or ability to paint. So I was constantly just watching YouTube videos on shortcuts. And so for the longest time, I was using the metallic Sharpies for my golds and silvers. So I definitely know the feeling of trying to get in that pen in the small places or where corners meet and it just not going.
Yeah. So I think, like I was saying with the Burning Godzilla, if I pick my angles for the photo, no one knows.
That's funny. It looks fantastic from this angle. Don't look over there.
No. Don't go around that far.
There you go.
For my hobby update, I completed a Weird Boy. And one of the faces in the the ghosty sticks here, one of the ghosty faces came out better than the other one. So I take most of my pictures from the from the side with where the face looks better. So I'm definitely someone who does that too. With the red green part. She says, "You sound like my husband. Red is red is red."
It's true.
It's true.
Commodore says, "Wait, all caps. You are colorblind and you still paint like that?" Burning my brushes now. Just burning my brushes.
There are ways around it. So the old Games Workshop paints used to be really good because they were so uniquely named. So you kind of flick through a White Dwarf and it would say, here's your base paint, highlight is named this. Didn't matter that I couldn't tell the difference between it, but I just went, this goes on that. And then I'd say, does this look good? And someone would say, yeah, it's not bad. And I said, yeah, it looks fine. I don't know what I'm doing. So yeah.
Wow. So you were literally having to paint by numbers. This says this goes here.
Exactly.
Wow. That's amazing.
I'm still burning my brushes.
Yeah. That is just another notch in your belt of incredible work.
Go get my lighter.
All right, looking at the chat real quick. Rule of Cool says Heinrich Botha says Rule of Cool always wins. Heinrich, you are still watching, my man. I know it is super late or early in the morning for you, and even after all our technical difficulties, you're still here, my man. Thank you so much.
Total trooper. Or crazy.
Adam Dodge,
Oh.
of course, the badass creator of the Kickstarter we covered earlier in the year, is here in the chat. Good to see you, my friend.
Dodge.
I will buy a ticket to Australia. I must learn from the master.
I think half the chat would do that.
No, you've got to go somewhere better. You've got to go somewhere much better. For the love of God.
Oh, man. Adam, I just want to know, I hope your Kickstarter is going well, my man. Definitely, I know things have probably, had difficulties with the state of the world, but off to bed, Jigs. Thank you so much for joining us. Just finished a night shift, and now it's the morning. So definitely get some rest, man.
Yeah, definitely.
I appreciate you.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
4 a.m. Woo. Thanks for joining us, Jigs, my man. Is it a road trip if we go all the way to Australia, Lady D? I mean, you got to lose the road at some point there. All right. So we got a ton of news to talk about, and we've got some art of the week. What you want to do? Actually, we need to do our own hobby update. We looked at some of the amazing KaijuShorts stuff. Freak, what you been up to? What you got for Poke Chat?
Well, I mean, since I've gotten my amazing printer for my birthday, I haven't been using it as much as some of my other friends have, but what I have been able to print has been pretty fun. So I printed a couple of things that I thought were really cool, but the one thing that I really liked was this Ninja, and I thought it turned out pretty cool. Let me see if I can share that with you. Let's see here. I'm gonna find it. Rummage through here. Come on. Is this not it? No.
It's okay, baby.
Oh.
It's okay.
I appreciate you calling me baby, but I think it's a little embarrassing in front of everyone right now because, let's see here.
We're all friends here.
Right. So I used to have a printer, a 3D printer back in the day, like 2 years ago, and one of the things that I always struggled with that printer was trying to get the best detail possible. It was a regular PLA printer, the kind that feeds the line and just builds up on it. And it was really cool. And honestly, that particular printer that I had was, made really good quality prints. And I was really, really proud of how well I did. It still left.
Your first model was so crisp, right out of the resin printer. So good.
It's amazing because of the level of detail. This right here, it was just, I could not believe, how detailed this sucker was. So, anyway, so I went ahead and put the bullet, family put the bullet and got me this. So I printed my very first, model to paint. And I was like, man, this is so freaking cool. So I've never painted anything like this. I've got bigger pics. This is not even the finished product. But this was my attempt at
so good.
at skin tone, and I used some of the techniques that I learned from Oni and some other YouTubers. Just trying to build up and glaze. This is glazing, and I'm starting to learn a little bit about it. So I thought it was.
I am so
really
jealous
cool.
of your skin work, man. That's awesome.
Thank you, man. I mean, it's still, like I said, that skill is still a work in progress. And so right now I'm working on, printing some like, I don't know, like weapons, additional weapons and stuff that I can use to just kind of swap out on some of them. And it's just little things that I can do to, customize them in the way that I like them. So really cool stuff. But yeah, I've been really having a lot of fun with that. Yeah, I mean, it's the level of detail just so crazy. Again, let me see if real quick, because you can kind of see the, let's see here. I kind of see the difference between what I used to print versus, why am I pulling that up? Versus what I'm printing now with this printer. It's pretty amazing But even though that printer that I had pretty decent detail, I think this one definitely goes over and beyond. But anyway, so the thing is, it's so funny because around the same time I'm getting my my printer and doing a lot of work. Some of our friends in our channel, or friends of our channel in our chat, have went out and got printers.
Smash Captain Archer.
Yeah, he's also new to the printer fold, and yeah, man, he's going ballistic in there as well. So here, let me show you. Let me go ahead and if I can get this bad boy running. Come on, let's see here. I've got too many pictures. I am so sorry. Anyway, while I pull this up, Methos, you want to share your thoughts? Let me transition to you real quick.
Sure.
All right. Good talk. Good talk.
I was waiting for the stuff to catch up.
Oh, right.
Because my stuff was right under Kaiju's.
Okay, hang on.
I was just waiting for the screen to catch up.
Sorry, hang on. Okay, I'm digging through here. We up. This under Kaiju, stand by. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'm gonna just gonna swap computers. They're just running so slow. Okay, there we go. Boom, Birdman.
Rugby turned to 11. Ooh. All right, so this is the D&D model I was telling you guys about last week. Oh, I should have put the pictures of the albatross up next to it, so that way I could show you the inspiration. And it didn't come out super clear in the picture, but its nose, the tip of its beak is actually got blue tips to the edge. But yeah, that's the D&D. This is from Hero Forge, where you can make your own custom miniatures. And so this is the Birdman. I can't remember the name of what the Birdmen are called, but it's a monk Path of the Sun. And since the monks with the Path of the Sun, they get access to different kinds of fiery sun-based abilities. I put the heat effect there on the tip of the spear.
Very cool.
It was hard because the albatross has so many colors on it. It's black and white. It's got a yellow head. It's got a pink beak, and then of course it's tipped with a greenish blue at the tip. So there's so many colors on it, and then of course the skin, like around the legs and stuff like that, are a pinky gray color. So there's so many colors on it. I was like, what colors am I going to make the clothes? So I decided on like a dark navy kind of blue, because going with the security officer thinking, dark blue navy pants go with just about everything. So
true that, yeah. Good job on the carapace, though. Love that.
Huh?
The carapace, good job on that.
Oh, thank you.
No, it looks great, and I love the idea that you could do that kind of based off a completely different concept.
Oh,
so
actually using the real picture of the bird?
Yeah. I think it came out really, really well.
It kind of reminds me of when we were talking to Lady Dragon. I think we still should do this, because I reached out to the Instagram personality that started it, where they take a package of something and do a paint scheme based on it. I think that would be really cool. I talked to them about it. They were really cool with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and this is like my second I think this is my second or third time using oil washes, kind of tone everything down and draw, really tie it all together. You can see the blue slightly better there, but I'm gonna have to get some actual like close-up pics so you can see that.
That looks pretty good. That looks pretty decent, my man.
Thank you very much, Weather Pig, my man. So yeah, that's the monk. I enjoyed doing that this week, so that'll be sending. Well, actually, I can't quite deliver that to my my patron because the whole lockdown situation. But as soon as I can, I'll get it to my patron. Actually, I guess I could mail it to him, but I want to being that we live here in the same town, I want to see his face when he opens it. So.
I love this.
This is the so guys, I started this last week on the stream. This is the Weird Boy I started. and he's finished and based up and ready to go now.
Wow.
So I got most of it done during the stream, and then I was just kind of chipping away at the armor and stuff for the rest of the weekend. And I did the horns kind of, with the darkening the tips instead of the base, kind of like a Texas Longhorn. And I just kind of love the way that came out.
Yeah, it looks really good. I love the glowing eyes, just ferocity, man.
Thank you. So it's funny. I started that with a wood, kind of a darker wood color. But as I kept darkening up the tips of the horns, I was adding in a lot of browns, and I didn't want the wood to be a wood color, so I ended up making it an ashy wood color I took the brown of the wood with a gray wash kind of deal with the Basilicarum gray, and then I went over the whole thing with different shades of gray highlights and kind of gave it like a burnt wood kind of look. And then I went back with Vallejo Fluoro Pink. I don't think it's called pink. It's fluoro something, but it's a pinkish color. And put the glow in the eyes, but then the eyes in the mouth, but then the mouth stood out a little bit too much. So I went back and non-oiled the mouth so that way you could see the smile a little better, and it wasn't just a great big yellow blob in the mouth. And I think they came out okay. That run right there, that's the derpy face, and the other side is my better face. But I want to take pictures kind of from all angles. I love just the sheer number of spikes and tusks on this thing.
The armor looks stunning.
Yeah, it does.
Thank you very much. That was so the weathering on I want to say shout out to the Weather Pig because the armor here, I was painting this up and there were so many hard edges here, like where the armor looks beaten and like a beaten metal, a hand beaten metal looks different from like a formed and,
like a machine processed.
Yeah. It doesn't look, I didn't want it to look machined because there's so many, you can see like hard corners and stuff. It looks hand beaten armor. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to make that pronounced. So I didn't want to do my usual airbrush highlighting. I wanted to really make all those sharp edges stand out. So I went with the Weather Pig weathering method with the dark blue gray, Vallejo dark blue gray, all over all the corners and ridges and stuff like that. And then with the regular blue gray, and then just a little bit of lead belcher on the most extreme sharp corners to kind of give it that chip look. So I went with a very I even actually went into his Discord and kind of asked for some of his advice with this kind of armor. So I kind of followed the Weather Pig method. You can see it a lot on the Weather Pig model painting channel.
No, he's done some really good. I've got a bunch of information from Weather Pig, especially when it comes to blending, because I find blending really difficult. But his armor, he makes it seem so simple, but I have no idea what I'm doing.
Thank you.
One of the things that I noticed that Rob at the TMP always says this. When you look at a model, a good model always tells a good story. And this right here, just looking at it at first glance, it looks like I just caught him at the very act of an enchantment or a ritual of some sort, and he is almost at the cusp of the climax of that ritual. And it's just so very alive. And that's what I really love about this, especially if you look at the face. It's like he's yelling that last rite, that last spell, that last word to make that, to make that spell go off. It's like, gosh, that's so good. And
thank you very much.
And I love the fact of the vegetation where he is. He's almost like in a hidden, aside from the rest of the army. He's kind of sitting aside, because he's a squishy. But he's still, he's doing the work for the horde. So really cool.
For the horde. Wait, that's the wrong word. I really appreciate that. You can see kind of what I was saying with Kaiju earlier, that the left face looks so much crisper than the way the right face came out. That one's kind of the derpy face.
I didn't even notice, dude.
if you hadn't mentioned it,
Right? Yeah, and if you turn your attention to the derpy face, you'll see derpiness.
We have the myth and legend Elstonation in the chat this morning.
Hi.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Lady Drag Kaiju Kaiju knows a guy who might sponsor an event. Oh yeah, because there was a lot of chat about going to Australia and having our own convention. That would be amazing. And how they would make the convention for all walks of the hobby. Very cool.
That would be interesting.
Heinrich says, love the glow effect. Thank you very much. Very World of Warcraft. That is definitely my inspiration. One of my many inspirations. Weather Pig loves it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate Brother Adam making the show. Thank you for the kind words. I want to know what makes the orc so angry.
Oh, sorry about that. I just went right to it. So I meant to split it. Anyway, this is something. This is what I printed in my previous printer. Gosh, that was did not go well. So yeah, like you hear the record skip.
That was from your PLA printer.
Yeah, it was a PLA printer. All right, back to the show. And now back to this.
Oh man. My missus is still so confused at why I get up so early on a Saturday. That's because you have the 5 a.m. painting method, and they had a great chat. If you guys checked out Chilling Wargamers this week, as you can see at the bottom of our screen, we're part of the Chilling Network, and a list of our Chilling brothers, I believe. Yes, a list of our Chilling brothers is in the description below. Ooh, I didn't want that to come out of my mouth before I double checked. A list of our Chilling brothers is in the description below. You can check them out. And this week they had a great live chat about facing burnout with your hobby motivation and how to overcome it. And Elstonation is a beast, man. He's got what he calls the 5 a.m. method, and just like clockwork, he can make himself get up at 5 a.m. and get it done. So that's pretty awesome.
He's a freaking beast.
It is, I can see the logic in that. It's definitely probably easier to get in your painting time before the rest of the world wakes up.
Yeah, but to get up so early.
But it does take you probably need to be Elstonation to have that kind of discipline.
Right. I agree. I totally agree.
I've tried to be Elstonation and I've tried to have discipline, but I can't do them both at the same time.
That's fair. That's fair.
Who can compete with that? You can't.
Heinrich says, facing hobby burnout, buy more plastic. Yeah, that's why we all have the collections we do. The collections where our collection vastly outgrows our painting. One of the pickle jars recommendations on that chat was to start on a different project, which was a fantastic advice. But I run into a problem with that where the problem with me is that I do that where I'll jump on a different project to avoid, to combat the burnout. But then I never come back to that original project. So now I have just drawers of half-finished projects here. Oh yeah, I started that once upon a time.
What happened? Burnout.
Yep, that's me.
I like to break up my projects a little bit. So I've been doing a lot of AdMech recently. I've had a lot of robot stuff, so I threw in the Burning Godzilla there just to paint something a bit organic. And when the AdMech are done, I have a little D&D fella. A friend wants to start a game, so I picked up a little. I can't see it. I don't know why I held it up. But yeah, I don't mind getting the odd like $5 miniature and just throwing it in the mix just to either break it up or appreciate how much I enjoy the other stuff and get back to it quicker.
Elstonation says he's still waiting on the Elstonation cosplay.
That'll be the convention that we run.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine at a Wargamer convention just so many like, you know, I don't know if any of you have ever been to like a really big convention for media like a Comic-Con or anything like that, but there's almost always a couple of cosplays that are like the popular ones where you'll see a million of, you know, like when we first started going to A-Con here in Texas, like the first year we went, everybody was somebody from Naruto, like 75% of the population. And there's always like, you know, then of course the next year everybody was somebody from the main character from Sword Art Online. And there's, you know, there's always that one cosplay. Can you just imagine at a wargaming convention where they have like a whole bunch of different ones, but then you have like, there's a repetitive one tall wargamer, one short one, and one has got like the red beard of the Wargamer Viking, you know, Spud, and one is you got the you know, the glasses and Elstadation beard, and they're just like a whole bunch of these pairs walking around. If you guys have ever seen Supernatural, I'm thinking of the Sam and Dean cosplays.
I remember that one. That was that was one of my favorite episodes.
Oh man. Gamecraft Dragon says everyone should show up in Bubba costumes.
Oh man, they'll think you're in a different state, my friend.
Cups wanting to play games.
Yeah.
And Chaplain Emos.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Chaplain Emo.
That would be great. A Chaplain Emo section, and then when Mini Walmart comes in, just surround. Swan, emo.
Yes. Costume contest. Adam says he calls dibs on the Princess Leia in gold bikini.
Nice. No.
Yes. Gotta see it. Phoenix nominates Commodore to be Spud. And Lady Dragon says she could do a Sister of Battle with Phoenix. That would be awesome.
That's
By the way, saw a picture of Phoenix today with her sister's codex. So awesome. Welcome to your new army. I think I have to do the walk of shame for cosplay as Chaplain Emo. Guys, it's 10:30. We should probably get into some news and stuff, shouldn't we?
Yeah. Let's roll.
Being that we started so late, are either of you okay with going a little long tonight?
I'm fine.
You know, typically we end at 11. I said let's push it to 11:30ish and see where we go from there.
Sounds good.
All right. We owe that to them, man. I believe that crap.
Lady Dragon says she is officially now one of us.
Wow.
We want her to stay around. It's awesome. It was awesome to see you at the Codex, though. That's awesome.
Content on this channel? The hell you say?
Exactly. Remember exactly what I prefaced this at the beginning of the episode when I said we are the main course is BS and we are a side of main topics and news here.
It's really hard to paint these little things when I'm like giggling to myself.
Sorry.
What'd you say, babe? Yep, I think that is the description for our show.
Pretty much.
In fact, I think when I update our channel description on the Facebook page, so I'm gonna put that in there.
Yeah, we need that.
What news? Nothing happened in Warhammer. You guys are just clutching at straws. Yes, nothing big happened this week. Okay. Something I meant to bring up last week, and it's not one of our main topics for tonight because we got more stuff to go over, and there's been more stuff to happen since last week. But I'm going to go back a week and a half ago because I want to bitch about this real quick and bounce it off real quick.
Okay.
And of course, you know, Kaiju, my man. I don't know how you feel about the venom I have for Tau, but feel free to jump in if you like.
This is escalating really quick, y'all.
They're down. Let's all kick them.
Oh my god.
So, one of the things. Oh my goodness, my camera just went out of focus. Nope, still out of focus. All right. So, anyways, one of the things that came about a week and a half ago was they talked about. There we go. They Overwatch, of course, and of course, half the internet was up in arms that you have to use Overwatch as a stratagem now, which I was fine with, actually. Freak, how do you feel about Overwatch as a stratagem?
I'm not too thrilled. Honestly, all right, this is distracting. So, I honestly don't get it. Why? I think it's more of a distraction. I think it's more of a, is it really necessary? Because here's the thing, there's a slight trade-off. Because at the beginning of each turn, you're going to get command points, right? I get it. And then you can use the command points for whatever you want. The problem is you get one command point at the beginning of each battle round. So that being the case, you have to decide what you're going to do with the command point. So if you're burning a lot of your command points in a first or second round...
I mean, you're starting, in your average game, though, you're starting with a full deck of 12.
Sure, exactly.
And you're getting, in a 5-turn game, you're getting 5 more. So when have you ever played with 17 command points, though?
Well, that's just it. And then, but the thing is, just about everything is going to cost command points, though. That's kind of where this is going. This is going more towards you're spending more to just be viable. And now you're actually spending more command points just to Overwatch.
If I can offer a counter, though, let's be real, okay?
No, I want to be fake.
Okay? Alternatively, let's be real. You and me, brother. You know how we roll, right?
Oh yeah, you know how I roll.
Okay, so 6s on Overwatch. When does
that
needing to hit on a 6 ever work out for you?
Never.
So
the
what are
percentage
you
is
really losing with losing Overwatch?
CPs.
Huh?
I'm gonna lose CPs.
Or you can choose not to do it.
This is true.
So this is the way I look at it. So there are certain army, like for most people, relying on 6s very seldom pans out. If you're lucky, you might get a wound or 2 on the way in. You are not going to destroy a whole unit on the way in. Now don't get me wrong, there have been clutch cases where like the last person in a unit charges and gets last cannon in the face, or a character charging in, gets killed off. It happens. It does. But in your majority of your times, you're shooting at a full squad of Wolfen or bikes coming in, right? How much damage are you really expecting to do on Overwatch with, say, a bolter squad of intercessors? Maybe a wound or 2, right? It's not going to make or break the battle. And in those cases, you could just say, well, a wound or 2 wouldn't make or break the battle. I'm just going to choose not to spend it. But then in those high stress situations, like this librarian is coming in, I really need to kill this librarian.
Right.
I would gamble my CP on that one moment. You know what I mean?
But it depends on what you're actually gambling with. Because if you've got 2 squads of aggressors, or a massive, you're doing a lot of rapid fire with some intercessors,
sure,
your numbers kind of go up. So if you're scrambling and if you're a shooty army versus a melee army, you want to get as many shots off as much as you can.
Again, you could pick those key units. Like I would save my command points just for the aggressors, or just your centurions, right? Like not everything in your army is going to be worth the Overwatch. And think about how much time, especially let's look at you playing a gunline army, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think of how much time you're going to spend not overwatching every single unit and only coming up with a couple of bolter wounds, through in a whole Overwatch phase. I think it's going to speed up the game, honestly. But again, I personally don't see a huge value in overwatching everything. I mean, it to me, it's just, you're fishing for a couple of wounds. And again, you might have those situations that will make or break the game. This Smash Captain is coming in. I need to take a wound or 2 off of him.
Right.
Yeah, then it's definitely going to be worth it. But I don't think it's worth it for every single, like the way we usually used to do it in 8th, every single squad needs to overwatch. That's just my feel. And the thing is, I think it's balanced too, because there are some armies that are really good at it. And I'm going to briefly mention Tau here because that's going to be a whole other topic in a second. Tau is good at Overwatch. Iron Hands are really good at Overwatch. Even with their free reroll, Salamanders can be good at Overwatch.
Right.
Imperial Guard has certain things that make them good at Overwatch. You can be good at Overwatch.
Yeah.
And for those armies, I think it's worth the CP spend. But for someone like me, who is mostly melee-based, it's a lot of bolters and stuff like that I have anyways, that are going to be on my people that are likely to get charged. For me, it is absolutely acceptable to say, I don't want to pay the CP. I'm just going to skip the Overwatch phase. Let's just go in, and it's going to A, make it faster, and B, it's not going to cost me anything. And so for those who are good at Overwatch, it's going to cost them a resource. I think there's a balance there, right? Because admittedly, as good as your fists are, they're probably not as good at Overwatch as, say, one of those other armies I just mentioned, right?
Right.
Now, here's the flip of that. This is where I'm going to bitch a little bit. Whereas I thought that was nice and balanced, then they said, how can Overwatch with, that what do they call it? For the greater good or whatever, where they can Overwatch with everybody within a certain distance. Yeah. Okay, that's a little dicey. By the way, they can do that unlimited number of times. Okay, they can do that for every charge, and it's free. No resources spent whatsoever.
Right.
No command points. It is just, you know what? I mean, it's like they're the Oprah of Overwatch. You get some Overwatch, and you get some Overwatch, and you get some. Everybody gets some Overwatch. And what really pisses me off is I watched one of the mini Wargaming's battle reports, and don't get me wrong, it was bad on the play. The White Scars player's named Vito, and Vito really tried. He sent in 3 squads of bikes and one of his HQ on bikes, and they all got obliterated in Overwatch. They all died to 1 round of Overwatch. And that's something they should be able to do unlimited for free. Sure, that makes sense to me. Now, here's the other thing. I am salty about that. But here's the other thing that gives a little hope, okay, that they might be actually trying to balance things. They made it so that way jump pack things with fly, like the jump packs of Tau, can't just jump back and leave out of combat and shoot you anymore. So now they made it so that way if they jump out of combat, they can't just shoot you in the face. So there's a little bit of balance. I mean, I think there's some people say, well, as soon as you get them in combat now, they're dead because they can't just jump out and shoot. Not necessarily, because let's not forget that shield drones still exist and they're still broken AF. So what might happen is that you might tie something up in combat and it just lives forever. Like you tie it up, you deal out, what I did with my Thunderham and Wolfen one time? I did like 60 points of damage and like none of it got through to Atlas's crisis suits. Or it was or actually I think it was either a crisis suit or a commander. But still, I mean, so you might get something in combat and it might just live forever, but at least they can't jump out and shoot you in the face anymore. So that's a bonus. Son of a bitch. So there's a little bit of balance there where they changed the fly rule, but also like the unlimited Overwatch. I think it's a little broken. What are your thoughts?
My point on that though is I don't have a problem with the balance. My problem is that you've just placed the cost and you're not giving me the option to make the decision. You're actually you're kind of forcing me, to...
I mean, but that's exactly what they give you. They give you a decision. It is a decision. Will I Overwatch? Yes or no? Will I spend the CP? Yes or no?
I understand that, but okay. But
it's more of an ultimatum.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So it's almost like, why? Why are you, I'm restricting me more and more in a box. You know me. I don't like boxes. I never like boxes. I never like people or anything pointing me to force me to make specific decisions that normally I wouldn't have to make. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, yeah, we'll Overwatch. Yeah, what the hell? Boom. Takes a second to roll. It doesn't take that long to roll a couple of dice to see if I get anything. Because you're like, last minute scramble. It's a last minute scramble. It's like, okay, crap, he's in my freaking face. Yeah, okay, yeah, I got ones. All right, go ahead. Kill me. I understand your point, but honestly, if I've got, okay, how many CPs are you gonna be able to spend? Is it per unit? So that means you got to spend 1 CP per unit that you want to Overwatch.
And you can only use a stratagem once per turn, or once per phase.
Right.
So you can only Overwatch once per turn.
Again, right. So
I just want to know though, how often have you done any actual damage that made a difference in Overwatch?
it's helped. It has helped. I don't think I've ever won a game with Overwatch, but it has helped. So if I've got 2 or 3 of your units going into charge on 3 of my units, I only get to Overwatch 1 of those. Why?
That's fair. That's fair. Anyways, I didn't mean for this to become the main topic, but we clearly don't agree on this. But you know, it definitely is a. What do you think of the Tau? The bits about the Tau though?
They can go to hell.
They can go to hell. Yes.
I think that's total horse crap. That's I didn't even bring them up because I just blocked it out when you were talking about it. It's like
I bet that makes it sting a little more since you are mad about the Overwatch change, knowing that they still get the free unlimited Overwatch like you used to be able to.
It's like, wait a minute, they just went into a Chinese buffet of Overwatch. You know, all you can freaking eat. They don't even bother sitting at the table. They'll just run up to the freaking buffet and just pull up the chair right there and just start munching right there. Screw those guys.
Kaiju, any thoughts, my brother?
No, I think it's pretty interesting. I think spending the points is it just feels like it's more of a one of those little things that keeps swaying people to start thinking that ninth is going to be more about melee and even positioning. I know that there was a conversation in Gamecraft Dragons Discord about how important it is to position everything. So
especially since combat is about being a half inch within a half inch instead of an inch within an inch now. So you really have to position things correctly. You can't just pile everything in and everything gets to hit however you stack them. You really got to think about where you're putting them. Yeah,
and making those really just really specific choices about where you want to spend your points. It's pretty interesting, which is like, I guess that's the problem with the Tau one. They don't even need to think about what they want to prioritize because they will just do it all the time. So yeah, it's an interesting one.
I like that you say that because that is something I see as a constant staple on battle reports is that not a whole lot of thought has to go into their target priority. They literally, and they know it. They talk about it. Their opponent will ask them, okay, so what unit are you going to delete this turn? I'm going to pick that to be gone. And then they roll the dice and yeah, it happened. That right there that they pointed at is gone. And so is that. And so is that,
Yeah. Whereas, Freak's army is obviously got to be, I've got to decide whether I want to even bother with this or not. Whereas, it's all, it's more tactical and it just makes Tau seem quite lazy in comparison. Which, yeah.
All right. So, got a whole bunch of chat here before we move on to the next one. I think, Freak, you want to pull up the rules that we said we're going to flip through and catch some of those parts, and then I'll read some of the chat while you do that, my brother?
Yeah.
All right. Has anyone ever had Overwatch really turn the tide of the game? Every time I play Tau. Amen, brother. Amen. Running Bear singing. Anyways. Whoa, Captain Salt is here. Guys, let us know down in the comments below whether you think this section made myself or Freak more salty. I think we both got a little passionate here. Passionate Frost and Fist live stream where we discuss Tau and Overwatch.
Screw those guys.
Oh man. 12 command points, minus detachment command points, and then the spending to do stuff. You're right. Of course, the detachment, depending on what you take, might refund itself. For instance, there's a refund with Imperial Knights. There's a refund with battalions, patrols, brigades. So there's a lot of refunds too. Lady Dragon says, when I lose gloriously. And I have to second my lovely Lily when she says that's the only way to do it. Go out in style.
Did you repost it on the in any of these mythos? Did you repost it? Or no? Oh
no, I did not.
All right, let me see if I can.
I thought you had it, man. My apologies.
It's okay, I can pull it. Hang on, give me a second.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go back to reading the chat.
Yeah, cool.
Has anyone taken advantage of the Steam sale? Lily did. Running Bear, that is... Oh, don't forget Flamers in Overwatch. Flamers are... I've never had any success with Flamers. Because, like, I like the auto hits, but for me, it's just they're too low strength, and the low or non-existent AP just never really pans out. I mean, heavy Flamers are a little better, but still, they really don't... They're very underwhelming every time I've ever taken Flamers. Unless I've taken, like, a squad of Flamers in something. Like I've done in taking veterans before, which that was interesting. I did that one time just to try it. But they very seldom ever actually do anything for me. Might just me. I could be eating them incorrectly, but it's just not been something to pan out. Mixed feelings for Lars. He doesn't like to eat the Overwatch, but Overwatch ballistic skill is only slightly worse than their normal ballistic skill for orcs. That's true. I mean, orcs naturally hit things on a 5-up, and they're overwatching on 6s, so it's almost the same for orcs.
Yeah, not much of a change. Yeah.
Lady Dragon says, "Did you hear what they did for my elves?" Maybe. I can't think of it right off the bat. You'll have to specify for me. Good stuff when you're feeling into it. More time with the blocks, less money spent elsewhere. Man, I've been watching Markiplier play Minecraft lately, and I want to play Minecraft so much right now, but I promised Lily I would hurry up and get through Dragon Age and then the Final Fantasy VII Remake first. I got to play those first. Man, I'm definitely feeling some Minecraft vibes. I played a little Raft with Freak this week. That was awesome.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Lady Dragon, don't look at me. I have no idea what you are talking about. I use the Flamers as... so Overwatch is big, depending on how you set up your army. Let's see. From everything I've read so far, this edition is only a little more complex, but so much more in tactics. See, that's the thing, though, because I was reading the 26-pager they put out, but there are still things that they put in the previews that weren't in that. And then there are still sections in the 26-pager that says you're going to need to refer to your core rule book. So, like, while the 26-pager doesn't look super complicated right now, like, some of the changes that are making us a little salty aren't in that. So I'm still cautiously optimistic. I am starting to feel a little bit like, I really enjoyed this simplified 8th edition, and I'm worried about how complex 9th is going to be.
I'm already there. Yeah, I'm. The more we get into it, the more I'm really getting a little anxious.
Brother Rob, good to see you, my brother. Picked up Doom and Final Fantasy 15 from the Steam sale. Those are awesome choices, my friend. 15 is another one I want to get into at some point. Elves are harder to disengage from melee now. We can step forward and keep going if you try to leave on the run at the risk of mortal wounds. Very cool. And I always don't pay for 3 groups. That's right. I think you get 3 patrol. If you take 3 patrols, you get those detachments for free, which is pretty cool. 9th edition rules do seem a bit complex now. Yeah, I'm not appreciating that too much, but it is what it is. I want to play the game, so I guess I'll adapt and overcome, but yeah, I'm not appreciating the higher complexity. All right, my brother. I'm sorry to leave you hanging with the comments, but I'm finally caught up, I believe.
Read them over again.
Huh? Oh, read them. Oh, okay.
I think the change in rule set's always going to be it'll always be complicated until you play it and they start to make a bit more sense. So even the terrain rules, when we're having that conversation about the everyone finding it harder to hit each other in melee when it was in heavy terrain, and there was like it seemed like someone had a distinct advantage. It was like if you stay in terrain, you get less. I forget what it was, but I think when you look at them in the abstract, it looked like the rule was a bit broken. But when you think about that, the charging unit is going to have a massive advantage on the assault, and then they're evened out in their level of mediocrity when they're actually in the fight. In a prolonged space. So maybe there's a little bit of that going on.
I agree. And explain to me, because I missed that last part, which is such an important part. And once that part was explained to me, I definitely calmed the hell down. And I'm like that anyways. I don't read that well reading. I mean, I don't read that well. I don't learn that well just reading something. If something is explained to me, that's better. And if somebody walks me through it, even better. And if I do it myself, even better. So I did not understand, even back in 7th or 8th edition, exactly the rules reading the rule book. First of all, Brother Ethan, shout out. Pyroprasia explained the rules to me very well and helped me learn. And also, I spammed a bunch of YouTube how to play videos, and those were also huge for me. So seeing it done definitely helps me.
I saw that Wargamer J actually put something out on 9th. It just I saw the what do you call it?
Yeah, he did a little bit of the rules breakdown this week. I haven't watched it myself.
I need to sit and watch that, because I seem to really kind of get it when he explains it. So
I like Jay, but for me, I've really been enjoying Auspec's tactics lately for explanations of the rules.
I like his stuff too, but he puts me to sleep. I mean, he does great. He has great content, but his low voice and very soothing voice. I'm like,
that's a little sweet.
So it's like me watching by painting.
Yes, exactly. And seriously, he got the material.
That's why I was curious when I sent you the video. I was like, hey, here's some show prep for tonight. And then I mentioned something when we logged on, and I was like, you were like, did they confirm that? I was like, I'm just imagining you watching the video head on horn.
Yeah, dude, I really had a hard time with that. I really did. Boom. All right, let's get into it. All right.
Good. Well, hopefully Jay can explain it to you a little better then.
Yeah.
I know you and I we have our triggers differently.
Right.
Like someone like By Painted, he's got the music like you're in a massage parlor, and I just start.
Right.
And then he starts to get that.
Yeah.
Just the way he talks. Just.
And Auspec, the way he does it, it's almost like he's putting you in a trance. Like.
Lady Dragon says, yes, make Kaiju laugh more. I'm trying. But when I get salty about something, I stop being funny. It seems like less of a change than 7th to 8th. It does. 7th to 8th was the most, the biggest turnabout I think that I've ever, I've only been here 3 editions, but still, I hear it was like one of the most drastic changes in the history. 5 a.m. here, time to snooze. Thank you. Stay safe and good hunting. Thank you, Lupus, my man. Appreciate you joining us. You sleep well, brother. Make me worry about 9th is that not the complexity, but the armies are getting to break rules and not have to pay for doing so. Yeah.
You took care of that cough there, buddy. Yeah, I know.
Huh?
I took care of that little.
Oh, it was just a little. Don't worry, guys.
Something in your throat.
Not illness. It's just a little salt stuck in my throat.
A little coronavirus.
All right. You got that PDF yet, brother?
I'm working at it. This is turning out to be really freaking awesome.
All right. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, us having to stop and reboot everything can kind of throw us off a little bit. All right. So what are your guys' feelings on what's coming? Do you guys like what you've seen? Has anyone taken the chance to read the 26-pager? I've actually printed out the 26-pager and put it in a little I punched some holes, put it in one of those little 25-cent folders,
I'm gonna do that.
that we all used in middle school when we didn't want to pay for folders.
I got to do that because that makes sense doing that.
That's we haven't seen enough to be able to say that every army gets to break some rule. Thank you, Game for Craft Dragon. I don't know. I think that's a little early to make that statement. It's looking like, everybody will be able to break something, but that's very assumptive right there. It is not too late in the game for them to, grind us wolves beneath their heel. That is certainly never too late for that. There's been a lot of cool stuff come out for just about every army lately, and I am now completely on your side now, Methos, about Tau. Amen. So we'll see. We'll see who gets to do what. I'm like I said, I'm really excited about a lot of the stuff. I'm interested because I think for our initial 500-point crusade start that Freak and I are going to do, I'm really interested in, playing these orcs that I've started on, and they might be my first 500.
Oh, very cool.
Anyways, I think they're going to be my first 500 bit, and I'm interested to see how they work out, how they play. So,
have you done any of the tabletop simulator runs with them? Or
I have not. Actually, I've only played one tabletop simulator game ever, and about 50% of it. So I'm not super well versed in it yet. And honestly, it's just because I don't get a lot of time right here at the computer. But I definitely want to get in some more of those games. It's going to be, at this rate, it's probably going to be the pandemic over before I actually, get a grasp on tabletop simulator. Something I did have started today, though, by the way, is I did start on this AdMech showcase back here. I was taking some pictures for my AdMech showcase.
Ah, very good, very good.
I'm interested to see how they pan out in 9th edition. Pretty stoked. I'm also surprised it all fits on one shelf here when I actually started taking my pictures. Obviously, I have some knights, and I have a few things that I've not assembled or painted yet, like the Tech Priest Magos, and I've got a data list somewhere from some eBay scores, and then I've got some the half-finished neutron laser dune crawler, and of course I still want to get all the new stuff that was released, like the flying jump pack guys. They look amazing. The Da Vinci flyer, that looks amazing. I want to get some of those for sure. The cavalry with the dogs, they look cool.
Yeah, they're very cool. I'm kind of 50-50 with the flyers because the wings don't quite sit right with how I look at AdMech.
Sure.
Just because I also think it's the paint schemes that I've seen. I was watching someone on Twitch doing his AdMech, and they were very dark, and they looked like a thinner metal, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of made it seem like it fit the army a bit better for me, because that I don't quite get why you'd have something that looks so fragile in a flyer if your faction is so machine based. I don't know, it just looked a little strange to me.
I think they leaned hard into the steampunky vibe, and that's why we ended up with the very Da Vinci wings on those things.
Yeah.
And I think, part of that is, the popularity of steampunk. They probably reach a wider audience by leaning into the steampunk aspect. So I agree, they probably do look a little more steampunky than grimdark, with the newer stuff. But I like it. I'm a fan of the look. And it fits, maybe not as aesthetically as fitting in the look with the previous AdMech stuff, but some of the thought processes, right? Like, a lot of people don't realize, and I think it's so weird, always looking at these dragoons, it looks like some kind of bipedal striding bike, right? But what I certainly didn't realize is that if you look, this right here is actually a man, which I painted up to look, like just metallic parts, like, I wanted to hide the fact that he's a man. But yeah, that's a servitor. That is a lobotomized body right here controlling this strider. This strider is actually a person plugged in.
Yeah.
So along that same thought process, if they're willing to plug a human into making a bike, I can see where they would do the same thing by lobotomizing a dog to become cavalry mounts. You know what I mean? So I think some of the new stuff fits in with the idea, the theme, you know, the idea behind some of the theme, but maybe they don't capture the aesthetics quite as spot on.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Especially because my AdMech, like I was saying, it's going to be it's just a display thing to mess around with.
Right.
So I've just gone for robot cult.
Very cool.
As for the scheme, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense that they're leaning into a different direction with it. Yeah.
All right, guys. So we have here the Warhammer 40,000 core rules. We'll take a look at some of that, but I'm going to catch up on the comments real quick. Gamecraft Dragon's been reading into the rule book. Adam says, I'm looking forward to giving it a try. Been a decade or more since I last regularly played. Awesome. Our guest here, Kaiju, hasn't played since 3rd edition, so he's in a very similar boat. I like the idea, Lady Dragon, of a Cards Against Humanity game, all based on 40K. Very cool. And I saw where you checked out where you can make your own custom cards, which is awesome. I love how Cards Against Humanity always comes with a couple of blanks. And so me and our group of friends, we always take those blank cards and throw in a couple of cards that are, you know, running jokes with the group. It's very cool. Looks like a Da Vinci design got friendly with the B-17 toaster lovers. Lovely Darklings and Hotties. I'm off for the night. Good night, Lady Dragon. I hope I didn't miss you with that, but you have a great sleep. Rest well, and I'll catch you later. Adam says, personally, I love these AdMech flyers. Doesn't fit with 30K at all, in my opinion, but they still look great. Just looking at page 20, at the 26 pager, and first thing that I see is the symbols replacing words on the data sheets. Let the salt begin.
You're right.
Yeah, there are definitely some changes on the data sheets and stuff like that. But I think, like I said, we'll all adapt and overcome. It just somebody may need to explain it to the Wolf brother a little more thoroughly than he can learn it himself.
Here's where I'm gonna say something here. Sorry guys, I just stepped away from it. So I'm wondering how many people are, and this is just a thought. Just let me move back to real quick to my face here. How many people are just gonna say, you know what? I'm done. I'm done, GW. I'm done with the complexity and the changes of the rules. You're going, you know, from simplicity. Again, this is perspective here, okay? You're going from a level of simplicity, right, from 7th to 8th, and then you're going from 8th to 9th, and you're raising the complexity, right? So you're doing this crap right here, okay? That's not stability. That does not say stable. That says yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. There's a problem there. You see, again, big picture looking down. So my question is, how many people? I know there's going to be brand loyalty. That's a given, okay. But how many people are going to say, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go find a game system that is going to be so much simpler. A game system that has, you know, similar mechanics, but doesn't have the ridiculous complexity of what we're seeing now. You know, this is just a thought.
And historicals tend to be like that, but I think one of the things you might be missing here is that this is more of a competitive game than the, you know, and that's why it's a living system. And if you think of like video games, things stagnate if they don't make changes and updates, right? Things stagnate and it becomes the same meta all the time. And what's going to happen is nothing ever changes. The top meta will always be the top meta. The bottom meta will always be the bottom meta, and nobody ever gets their time to shine on top. That's why they have to keep shit.
And I get it, but we're talking about, and you know what? Typically, small changes help with that. You know, small changes in the meta help with that. But we're talking about, significant overhauls.
You have to overhaul, or else you can make small changes. But let's take the beginning of A. If you don't make massive overhauls, the shooting meta will always be will always be top tier, and you can make small changes. And so maybe the units or whatever that in that meta will change, and people might not always take exactly this model or this army, but this certain style will always be at the top, and this certain style will always be at the bottom. You know what I mean? So they have to make a system change in order for, like, let's take 4th edition when Malay was king, right? They had to make a change from that back to shooting at some point, because in 4th edition, Malay could just steamroll everything, and all of the shooting armies were punished. And then we look at, like I said, a lot of 8th edition, where shooting armies were king and Malay was punished most of the edition, right? So they have to, everyone gets their spot in the sun this way, but they had to make major overhauls to change it.
Okay, but why change the system? Again, you understand, it's no different than, when Dawn of War first came out, right? Everybody knows Dawn of War, which is the first GW video game that came out, and everybody fell in love with Dawn of War, and that genre. Then came Dawn of War 2, then came Dawn of War 3, totally different systems altogether, and I hate 3. It's, for me, personally, I think it sucks, because it's nothing like the original Dawn of War. You're saying, that's my point. It's like, at some point, when do people just say, I'm tired, I'm just going to go and find something that is simpler. I'm not saying that's what I'm going to do, but I'm saying I'm just putting it out there because I can understand that sentiment. You understand? It's because I get the idea and the thought into, retooling. I understand that. You have to retool, to stay viable, to stay relevant, especially in a very competitive, world, or gaming system such as, such as Warhammer. But we're taking, it's my goodness, we're taking a 180 approach sometimes, and I know I'm probably putting a little more into it than what it really is. But again, outside looking in, if you look at all the different changes and how erratic some of these changes, I'm not saying they're wrong, but very up and down, major differences, okay? I'm wondering how much stability are you going to maintain, with your core players, or with those that are actually coming in, or those that are looking to say, hey, I might try it, or I don't know if I want to. It's just food for thought, just something to throw out there, because, again, there are going to be people like you, Methos, that it doesn't matter. This is, Warhammer. I love the game. I'm going to go ahead and trudge right through it, bite the bullet. We're going right in on it. Then there's others who say, I love the game, but I'm tired of the changes, You have that.
No,
there's always a couple. I know a couple of channels that switch from 40K to 30K because it never changes. And they prefer that stability, stagnation, however whatever aspect you want to look at it, they prefer that straight line. Consistency, I guess. And some channels do that, but so according to the numbers, though, the player base gets larger every edition. So even when it gets more complex, there's still a growing number of players.
Right.
And if you look, we're more mainstream now than we've ever been before. So, we're in comic books, and we've got TV shows in the works. We're in children's books now.
Oh yeah,
Markiplier. Markiplier references 40K all the time, and he's big YouTube balls.
Yeah. And it's become very popular nationwide, internationally. It's not just, very big in the UK and some pockets in the US. I get it. Again, it's just something to consider, because I've heard a lot
Action
of people.
figures, yeah, it's another
Yeah.
one.
I mean, and I have heard people that say, hey, you know what, I'm just going to go and move on to it. Like you said, they're going to go back to more stable,
What? Funko Pops, Monopoly.
Yeah. Anything that could generate income. I get it. Yeah, that's pretty much.
And it's not just income. I'm just looking at
Yeah.
mainstream presence is what
Sure.
I'm saying. Is that
Sure.
it's not.
It's good marketing.
It's caught on to a wider audience.
It's very good marketing. They've done a great job. They've got it. Good on them. It was well done.
A lot of people play their favorite versions as well. I know that a few groups that I follow, they're watching 9th and they're excited about it, but they will continue to play 8th for a while.
Sure.
And I know it's kind of like, even in the D&D space, I'm not even sure what they're up to now, but I have friends.
Some people still love 2nd edition THAC0.
Yeah. Some of my friends just said, like, oh, I want to make a new game, but it's going to be 3.5. And other people want to move to a new system because they think it's simpler. So
yeah,
I guess there are people that will just play what their favorite is. But
yeah,
that's true. We had a friend at the store who only played 7th edition, even like a year and a half into 8th edition. He would only play 7th edition.
Yeah, I mean, I do like I said that I do like the evolution. I do like some changes. I'm really excited, but again, I personally am a little nervous because of the level of complexity. I'm really excited about the game. I'm excited with what they're going to come up with. I'm nervous because there's a lot of ups and downs, and they have done some nerfing in the past. And I'm wondering if the good stuff that they gave us on 8th edition are going to be completely taken away or nerfed in 9th edition. So it's not far-fetched. So, there's going to be some people that are going to feel the burn. And I'm not quite sure that my beloved Imperial Fists are going to be exempt. So, just saying.
Speaking of nerfing, before we go back to the rule book, I do want to talk a little bit about the title of the episode and the changes to storm shields. Now, some people say it is a little bit of nerf. Some people say it helps, buff other things, and it is a little give and take. And I just want to get everyone in the chat's take on this. So the changes to storm shield, they're different. I'm not going to go right off the bat say nerf. They definitely seem different, and it is both a buff and a nerf at the same time.
Right.
And I think we're just going to have to wrap our heads around how the changes. And I have no idea whether this means my beloved Thunderwolf Cavalry are going to die faster. I feel like they're going to die faster. However, that could just be a knee-jerk reaction, right? So the changes to the Storm Shield now, instead of giving a flat 3-up invul, which it has been for years, absolute years, just Storm Shield equals flat 3-up invul, is now only a 4-up invul, but adds 1 to the save. So on a Space Marine now, we're dropping that invul down to a 2-up save, or that invul, that armor save down to a 2-up save, which means my cavalry now is going to be more resistant to small arms fire, right? I'm going to get a 2-up save against bolters and against anything with the -1 AP, like a heavy bolter. I'm going to get still that 3-up save that I'm used to having. But once we get to 2-up save, a AP of 2 or more, like a plasma gun, a melty gun, an autocannon. Wait, autocannons are still -1. But anyways, anything that's got that -2 or more, I'm going to start feeling that that one less invul. And I've seen people may feel like, people may feel that a 3-up save to a 4-up save is not a big difference. But when they nerfed the shield on the Dreadnoughts last year, and the Venerable Dreadnoughts on Space Wolves went from a 3-up to 4-up invul, I definitely felt my Dreadnought dying a lot faster every game. Of course, now with the Dreadnought, obviously they're pointing very high strength weapons at it all the time, right? So it didn't really have. I mean, it already had built in as a dreadnought, that with a 2-up save, resistance to small arms fire. So I'm going to get that same kind of resistance to small arms fire. My cavalry are now going to get that 2-up save to small arms fire, but then everything else, I'm shifting. Think about your Terminators, though. That's going to be even more interesting. Your Terminators, your Terminators all have the fist, not the shield, right?
Right.
Okay. So that might not be the case, although Lysander has a storm shield.
Yes, he does.
Okay, so one of the things that was discussed is that on a Terminator, you could potentially get a 1-up save. Now, 1s always fail. However, if you have something that's AP -1, it's still going to be a 2-up save for you because 1 - 1.
Right.
Yeah. So that's pretty interesting. What do you think, my man?
I don't know.
It's like a buff and a nerf at the same time.
Exactly.
It feels weird.
I'm really, again, I need somebody to actually explain it to me in the real world terms. Like, okay, this is what happens when this guy gets shot. Boom. Okay. I want to see it in action. Because right now, the way it's spelled out, like you just mentioned, Methos, I'm not quite sure how effective it will be. Like you said, it will be great with smaller arms, like you said, -1 AP. Great, which is the majority of base, your typical now Primaris units, right? -1. I mean, bolters, now all that crap. So you're going to get a lot of -1 from me, especially if I'm shooting you with intercessors. Okay? But what about other units, other heavy hitter -2 AP? Last cannons. So before, storm shields used to be really good at blocking a lot of that back in 7th, right? 8th, not so much. Now what? So that last cannon is going to burn a hole right through your storm shield. That blocking, head gone. So no.
Sorry, I just read Adam's comment saying, I find the best rules are the ones I make up on the spot when I'm trying to beat my overly competitive missus. I hope she's not watching the show. Oh, man. Seems fair. You've got 10-foot tall Vikings in power armor riding rhino-sized wolves. I really don't think that coaster-sized shield would make a difference.
You're right.
That's fair.
You're right. I want to see. I
feel like I'm probably going to see my cavalry die a little faster. However, because you guys know your Wolfbrother loves to put a whole table full of cavalry on the field whenever I can. However, I'm not against it. I'm gonna play the new edition, and I'm gonna bring my Space Wolves to the new edition. So I'm gonna live with it either way. And let's look back at 8th edition. I played cavalry when they were bad. I ran a full squad of 5 and 6 when they were bad, and now they're back to being okay. Well, they on the cusp here at the end of 8th. Right. Now they're back to being okay. They're pretty good now. They might go back to being shit here in 9th edition. I don't know, but I'm still gonna play them. I'm gonna put them on the table. You know why? Because there's nothing more badass than a Viking riding the back of a great wolf and coming and bearing down on the foe. And even if he gets there and he gets tied up by those goddamn Tau shield drones and doesn't go anywhere, I'm going to be like, you know what? I put a motherfucking Viking on the table on a wolf.
He died with honor, dog on it. Yeah.
So, I'm going to do what I do. But yeah, I'm going to play. I'm going to see how I like it. I may like it. I may not. Those storm shields are glued onto every mother trucker on. I've magnetized the weapons. I never magnetized the shields because I'm like, I'm always going to take a storm shield. We'll see how it goes. I might regret that decision, but I'm still going to take them. Oh, I do want to say, though, with this change to storm shields, I really hope. You remember we did a whole episode about does GW hate Space Wolves? Because they gave discounts to everybody in the Imperium for their storm shields to only 2 points, except my cavalry.
Yep.
I really hope we get that discount like everybody else now. If you're going to make it hard for my wolves to use them, then they would need the same discount as everybody else. Anyways, I'm going to get off that soapbox.
That was an interesting show. That was I left. I still got.
I apologize for throwing so much salt at you this round, Kaiju. I was like, yeah, we'll probably do a little bitching tonight.
It's like I'm never coming back in that show again.
Say what?
He's the Kaiju's like, I'm never going back in this show again. He's like, hey, Weather Pig, you lied to me.
Brother Ethan is in the chat, said, I'm always going to take a storm shield. I think I found the problem. It's just, they're such a big and imposing and expensive unit that you want the survivability on. That's all I'm saying. Modeling for advantage, I agree. That's a fair point. A 3-up invul is far too reliable, especially with rerolls. I can understand that, and this might have been a necessary change. Although I have to say, as one of the armies that can take some of the most storm shields, the wolves were never in the conversation for the meta, so I don't feel like the shields were that big of a boon to us. But there's like people talk about the meta all the time, and the wolves are never even like. I don't even think anybody who knows the local meta language understands what the word wolf means. That's how long they've been out of the conversation. Like. They got their own codex once many years ago. They might have been part of the conversation then. And GW sells a lot of wolf figures, but I don't think like competitively. Like I think people like myself play them because they look cool. I don't think anyone's ever bought Space Wolves to say.
I agree.
These things are except let's not forget the Iron Hands Space Wolf Death Star crossover, but that was breaking two armies together.
Yeah.
You what crossover? Sorry.
Next to 7th.
Yeah, in 7th edition, people would run Iron Hands with Cavalry to give them all feel no pain, and then you would put you would use the Iron Hands to take a Librarian to put invisibility on them, and then people could only hit them on 6s, and they would get a feel no pain, and then of course they could do whatever they wanted. So, admittedly, that was broken, but I mean, you had to. That was not Wolves winning the situation. That was a mashup of the two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's technicalities winning games.
Exactly. I was saying the same thing about shooting games earlier today. There was a couple of things where like I got quick scoped. I'm like, that's not necessarily a skill. I got killed by an exploitation in the game. So I'm actually okay with that encounter. I asked because if this is a change to the edition makes you mad, Magic does that every 18 months.
It's a question that Gamecraft Dragon asked. He goes, have you played Magic, the Gathering? I said, no, but I've always really wanted to learn. I mean, I figured that'd be a fun game. And his response was, I asked because, the change of this edition makes you mad. Magic does everything. Now, I need to preface this and make it very clear. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at all. I'm nervous. Okay? There's a difference. I am very nervous, all right? Because I like stability. This guy here likes this. Because when he sees this, I got to clean the walls from all the gray matter. Okay? I'm not mad. I'm very passionate. All right? And when I get passionate, I get vocal. I'm not mad. I don't mind change. And I don't mind change as long as it makes sense. Make it make sense to me. Okay? But I'm not angry. I want it to make sense. And it's got to work. It's got to work well. Of course, if I don't understand it, and if it doesn't make sense, of course, I'm going to be like, what the hell? It's no different than somebody going up to me and say, hey, I want you to go do this and this and this. And then I say, why? And then if they say, because I say so, why? Don't tell me because I say so. I want you to tell me why. Make it
Freak
make
has
sense.
a huge problem with authority. He always has. He always has.
It's not authority.
You can't just tell him this is, because that's the law or that's the rule. It's just, if it doesn't make sense to him, you can't just accept the authority.
And say this. No, I'm okay with authority because I'm constantly around. That's why I'm not in jail right now. Okay?
No, I'm saying if I said the law or rule doesn't make sense to you,
yes,
it has to. You have to go along with the law before before you'll comply.
I gotta understand. I say, okay,
I was just saying you can't follow a law just for the sake of the law. Like you need a reason.
I gotta understand it. Make it make sense because I have to think logically. As someone in IT, I think you can understand that. Okay, it's got to make sense. It's got to fit within that. So.
Only a mad person says, "I'm not mad" 35 times in a sentence.
Where's my salt meme? Damn it! Grawley.
You met Freak doing security. He hates authority. That friendship could have panned out differently. I mean, I think that friendship only worked because he was an assistant manager. That was a lateral position to my own spot as a safety and training manager. So we were co-managers.
Yeah.
I don't know how well it would have worked out if one of us was ahead of the other in the chain of command. Our tempers.
I think we're both very headstrong, and I think it would have been one of those things where Methos would come to me and says, "Hey, you need to go do this and this and this." Why?
I keep telling him that, Big D. I keep saying that he's going to have 17 CP, way more than he ever had before. When he has 9 CP now, he always has at least 6 of them left at the end of the game. He doesn't spend that. He keeps saying, "I'm going to run out of CP." You don't use the ones you have now.
I'm muting this mother effer. Done with your ass.
Am I muted now? Oh, man. 9th seems to make what I like to see play better, so I'm optimistic, except for the Tau thing. Good morning, Grumpy Guy. Good to see you, my friend. All right. So we've had a bit of salt about the rules. Do you want to do a closeout? Do you want to show a little bit of
let's show a little more. Well, I mean, do you want to go through some of the rules?
You're driving, man. I'm just asking you. I was just saying, let's move along.
Yeah. Let's because I think we need to, for the sake of,
we've hit 2 of the rules so far. We talked about Overwatch. We talked about
maybe just one rule in Storm Shields.
Storm Shields. Okay, we talked about Storm Shields. We talked about Overwatch, and we talked about fly units. Can't jump back and shoot anymore. So 3 rules out of 26 pages.
Yeah. So what do you think about?
You're good at this, guys.
What do you think about the phases? That's one thing I was curious, Methos. They're adding the additional phase of it's come
command
on,
phase?
Yeah, command phase. Which
I mean. That's normal. A lot of abilities already say at the beginning of the turn, beginning of the move. This just gives a specific, hey, you do these things at this point.
Yeah.
It doesn't really seem like a big deal to me.
Okay. All right, let me just go through here. All right, so you've got your battle rounds now. They're not called, What do you need me to go?
I was just going to say that example stat card that they had in there was the new Assault Intercessors.
Yeah. So I'm pretty stoked about that, by the way. Let me zoom into this.
So much like Blood Claws, they're a troop choice now. That's cool.
Yeah, it is.
They are going to get the heavy pistol, so they're getting the -1 AP there. Let's talk about that for a second. They're going to get 18 inches on their pistol now, not just 12 inches. So now you can effectively shoot at one thing and charge something different pretty well.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And of course, there's like everyone predicted, the Assault, Astartes Chainsword that they come with will be AP1. So that's cool.
Nice.
Here's going to be the really big thing in less HQ units. I mean, theoretically, they changed Supreme Command. I don't know how many people were running a big Supreme Commander before, but there are some armies that really relied on it. But I don't think that's going to be that huge of a game. Not a whole lot of people were taking Supreme Command. I think it's cool that with the change in Supreme Command that you can't take double Primarchs against, someone who doesn't have a Primarch or maybe has only one. And I think that's a neat Band-Aid on it. But I'm still sick of this 2 chaos, 1 loyal Primarch bullshit.
Mm.
But it's nice that you can't let them gang up on one at the moment. Right here, modifying characteristics. You can't, especially modifying to hit rolls. You can't ever adjust more than a +1 or -1. That's pretty cool. You remember before how, like with my Dragoons are going to be affected by that. You remember before by running Stygies and running Dragoons, sometimes you would be at -2 to shoot them.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're never going to be able to be at more than a -1 to hit them. So it's going to be easier for you to kill those now, which is pretty easy. I mean, they're like running paper at the moment.
All right, I'm just trying to clean this up so everybody can see this a little better.
Are you guys plasma pistol users?
Huh?
Are you guys plasma pistol users?
I run some plasma pistols on some of my guys.
Yeah, I saw that there was a the unmodified one.
Oh yeah, so the new plasma pistol. Your assault intercessors come with the plasma pistol, and it says on their Freak that now you only explode on an unmodified one. So if anything causes you to have a -1 to your hit, rolling a 2 won't make your plasma explode now. So that's pretty cool.
Okay. I see that.
I was a huge fan. Huge fan.
Unmodified hit. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. Let's go in here. Okay, and it's kind of interesting that they added the morale phase.
I mean, there's always been a morale phase, but
Sure.
it is definitely much different now.
I can understand this. I think because there's times that morale phases don't, or the morale's not really highlighted or encouraged.
Well, it's just that they're highlighting that it's much different now, and I think that is because they mentioned that a lot of things are kind of a nerf to horde armies.
Yeah,
you know, the blast weapons are a nerf to horde armies.
right.
The conga lines can't be used the same way, so that's different with horde armies. The pile in we mentioned earlier in the episode is different. You can't you can only attack a model within half an inch of a model.
Right.
And so you can't just stack, 3 and 4 layers deep with horde armies like you could before. So there's a lot of nerfs to them, and I think this is one of those things that's going to help horde armies because morale used to just straight up, kill a lot of stuff that were horde armies, especially in let's say a big squad of grots.
Right, they would lose everybody. Yep, exactly.
Right. So this way, you're only, if you fail your leadership or morale check, now you're rolling a dice for each one of them, and then you're only going to lose the ones that fail that additional dice save.
Right.
So, and it's only going to be, what is it, like on a 6 or something like that? We'll see when we get there. But I think that extra dice roll is going to keep people from losing as much people in morale for hordes. I think that's going to be a buff to hordes.
Right.
Changes are really going to switch up the meta. Loads of changes. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Reinforcements got a little changes as well.
So remember, a lot of people were theorizing earlier that everyone's going to be able to do the reinforcement thing and position their models, in the reserve or whatever.
Right.
But if you look, it says some units have rules that let them be deployed somewhere else.
Right.
So it looks like they already have to have the ability, and then you can do the reserves thing. So that's interesting.
Yeah, that is. Well, later in the battle as described by their rule. Yeah, so they're governed by their own rule versus, non...
Yeah, not everything's going to be able to be reinforcements. So.
Right. That's a good find. Okay, let's see here.
So it still matters that your Terminators are specifically a deep striking unit, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And they're bound by those guidelines for deep strike. Transport. Everything's pretty much
transport stuff, I don't remember seeing anything that was really vastly different in transport stuff. If anybody caught anything different, just let us know.
I want to get to the morale section, but let's see what else. Aircraft.
I'll let you know if I see anything that really stood out as like different for me.
Right.
Minimum move, of course, aircrafts are pretty much, I mean, they're still very similar, but reserves and strategic reserves, both are set up off the board, but work differently.
Yeah. Let me see here. I think Psychic hasn't changed much either. I mean, it's about the same.
Yeah, there is a new, I was only going by the rules here, but there is a disembarking stratagem for CP. That is worth talking about. It's not here on this page, but there's a new core stratagem for disembarking called the emergency disembark. So Freak, a competitive move before in the game, or Kaiju as well. There used to be a competitive move called the Wrap and Trap. If you had enough models, you could surround a vehicle, and then if you killed that model in melee, if there wasn't room for your soldiers to get out past the dudes surrounding it, because you can't move your model within an inch of another model, right? So they couldn't pass through the enemy unit.
Right.
So if there was nowhere for your soldiers to go when you blew up the vehicle, the unit inside was automatically considered destroyed. So now they added a new stratagem that everybody can use for, I think it's 2 or 3 command points. But it's called the emergency disembark, that instead of letting you get out 3 inches out of the vehicle, you can get out 6 inches. So even if they wrap and trap your vehicle, you can, jump way the hell out there a full 6 inches, and it'll keep that you won't be able to shoot or charge or a lot of that stuff.
Right.
But basically that move will save your squad from being just straight up destroyed in the disembark. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
And that's one of those really just again, an exploitation in the game that seemed kind of gamey that some people were doing. So
I used to be a fan of it just because as a Tyranid player, I didn't have vehicles, so I would try and deep strike gargoyles and try and follow along behind someone, and then ram arcane effects from the front and go that way. But it kind of, it was a technical, strategy. It wasn't, super in the spirit of the game, but it also kind of made sense because...
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, especially for Tyranids, I can see, just a swarm of, biomass eating aliens running over the tank and eating everything inside, And
if someone an exit and all there is claws, it's not amazing.
Yeah, I could definitely see a whole Starship Troopers moment from them overtaking a tank like that.
Yeah, but it does make it a bit better, I think, because instant wiping of a unit for something like that's a little cheap. It's a little cheap.
Yeah, getting the kill for the vehicle and the unit inside. I can see where that would be a frustration. The big guns never tie, of course. We talked about this in a previous episode where, a vehicle locked up in combat can still shoot a weapon as long as it's not a blast weapon. So they're going to be able to shoot at that nearest unit that's tying them up.
Right.
Interesting.
I'm seeing a lot of returns of 7, little bits of 7 coming back. It's just interesting.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. I'm
just very different of 7, adding in some of that that level of tactical complexity, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Number of attacks. What does that say?
Let me go back. Number of attacks. When a model shoots a ranged weapon, it will make a number of attacks. So you make 1 hit roll for each attack being made.
Okay, and this is where it's going into the different types of shooting attacks.
Right.
Gotcha.
And it goes ranged weapon types. Of course, this is all pretty. It kind of explains the differences, right? You've got assault your pistols, your heavy.
The new one really here is the blast weapons.
The blast weapons, right.
Yep.
So that's a big highlight there.
So anything more than 5 models, they're getting a buff. Anything more than 10 models, they're getting a buff.
Mm-hmm.
You want to hit the key points of that one?
Yeah.
Good night, Rob. Have a great night. Thank you so much for joining us, brother.
So if a blast weapon targets a unit that has between 6 and 10 models, of course, it always makes a minimum of 3 attacks. When determining how many attacks are made with the weapon, the dice rolled results in less than 3 attacks being made make 3 attacks instead. For example, if a grenade D6 weapon with the blast rule targets a unit that has 6 or more models, and you roll a 2 to determine how many attacks are made, that roll is counted as being a 3, and that weapon makes 3 attacks against that unit. That's interesting.
Yeah, so the more models they hit, the more hits you're getting in.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's
pretty cool.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, because you're not limited to how many shots, but the area that it's taking. That's very cool. So number 2 says when a blast weapon targets a unit that has 11 or more models, do not roll dice to randomly determine how many attacks are made. Instead, you make the maximum possible number of attacks. For example, if a grenade D6 weapon with the blast rule targets a unit that has 11 or more models, that weapon makes 6 attacks against that unit.
I have some half-built plasma long things that I started. Whew, they've been kind of like started cobbling them together back in 7th edition. And I just never got around to finish them. But I think plasma cannon devastators and long things are going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah. Blast weapons can never be used to make attacks against a unit that is within engagement range of the firing model's unit, even if the weapon has the pistol type or if the firing model is a vehicle or a monster.
So this is one of those buff and nerf kind of things at the same time. They're getting the buff to against hordes,
right?
But at the same time, they're the ones that are still going to be able to be shut down when they're in
for vehicle stuff, yeah,
in combat.
Yeah.
So if you think about like a vehicle that let's say a contemptor, can take a plasma cannon, or you take a plasma cannon on things like certain Lehman Russ variations. Those things are going to be able to not take advantage of that. Of course, I think most of the Lehman Russ variations are going to get nerfed by that. The battle cannon version, the plasma, and the Gatling cannon will still be good. What is it called? The Punisher cannon? That'll still be good. And that would be an extra reason to take a Punisher.
Yep. And then blast weapons.
Dark Angels, Running Bears, Dark Angels will be so much harder hitting with those buffs to plasma, like the blast weapons. He said, so at least my second army will be good. This is why it helps to run multiple armies.
Yeah. I mean, take the flavor of the day, right? Blast weapons, minimum 3 attacks against units. That's units with 6 plus models. Always make maximum number of attacks against units with 11 plus models. Of course, that's what they're explaining in the 2 points there, and can never be used to attack units within the firing unit's engagement range. We get it.
Cool.
Yeah, cool. All right, so making attacks. That's all. I think that's all pretty much the same. Curious if they made any changes to the wound roll, and I don't think so. It's all the same.
Cool.
Yep, it's all the same. Allocate attacks. That's good. So I'm glad they kind of kept that from 8th. That made it a little simpler,
Yep.
Instead of that crazy trigonometry graph that we used to have in 7th. Invul saves, pretty much the same thing. Ignoring wounds. Some models have rules that give them a chance to ignore wounds. If a model has more than 1 or such rules, yeah. Curious to know which one those are, but God. All right, charge phase. I think that's pretty much the same, Methos. Have you seen anything different other than?
I haven't seen anything different.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much something. We'll go down here.
Oh wait, there is one thing.
What?
So if you're multi-charging something, the way multi-charging works in 8th edition is if you multi-charge 2 units and you only rolled high enough to charge one of them, you still get in contact with that first one. Now they're holding you accountable for everything you said you were going to charge. And if you say, hey, I'm going to charge this thing that's at 6 inches and also your HQ that's at 9 inches, you have to make the highest number of charge. You have to be able to get into all the things, or else you don't make any of the charges. It's all or nothing now, which was just one of the, again, tricky gaming things people used to do in combat. Would just say, okay, well, I'm going to go buffet style and declare this as a target. and if I get close enough and, if I roll well enough, I can
Right.
just hit everything.
Yeah.
And if they didn't make that roll, there was no punishment because they would just go into that closest thing and hit it.
That's not
So
a
now
bad
you really
change.
Yeah, that's a good change, I think.
Yeah.
Instead of just, saying I want everything, you really got to pick what am I
Yeah.
most likely to make on the charge.
This is something new, charging over terrain, yeah?
Charging over terrain. Models can move freely over terrain. Features 1 inch or less in height. They can go through taller terrain features, but can climb up and down them. That's pretty much the same.
Yeah, same thing.
Okay.
It's the same Overwatch. Okay, here's the Overwatch we were talking about. Certain rules enable units to fire Overwatch at an enemy unit before it can charge. If an enemy unit declares a charge that targets one or more unit from your army that has such a rule, each of those units can fire Overwatch before the charge roll is made. A unit cannot fire Overwatch if there are any enemy units within engagement range of it. Overwatch is resolved like a normal shooting attack, albeit one resolved in the charge phase, and uses all the normal rules, except that an unmodified hit roll of 6 is always required for a successful hit roll, irrespective of the firing model's ballistic skill or any that's pretty much typical. In addition, when a model fires Overwatch, it does so at the charging unit. Any rule that states the unit cannot be targeted unless it is the closest target, look out sir, does not apply when firing Overwatch.
What? They're bringing back Look Out, Sir.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested by this.
Yeah.
Sorry to guys. I've actually really got to get going at the moment.
Right on.
It's all good.
I'm afraid.
It's all good. Thank you so much for joining us, especially since we had an hour of technical issues and have spilled on over an hour. So
No. Thank you so much for having me on. I'd love to hang around. I've just got to shoot off, unfortunately.
Guys, if you haven't checked out his channel yet, please go check out KaijuShorts, which I will link here in just a second. Thank you so much for joining us. You are a blast to hang out with.
Absolutely, man. And you know what? We owe you a rain check. Do this right the next time. Give you as much time as you possibly can, man. We really I personally enjoy having you, as a guest here.
It's a pleasure, guys.
So.
It's been so much fun.
and thanks for putting up with our crap.
No, I love it. I love it. Okay, thank you very much, guys. Take it easy.
Have a great night.
All right, man. Take care, boss.
And I assume you're going to need to switch us to the 2-man overlay?
Done.
And yeah, we'll probably wrap up here in the next 15 minutes anyways.
All right. What is that? Oh, there's something in the background. Hold on. Playing sad music. Okay, not bad. There we go. All right. You want to catch up on...
Here is the link if anybody wants to check him out.
Oh, cool.
Pretty much been getting them as we've been going. Sorry, Gamecraft Dragon, for being grumpy. So far, this ain't going to be the Melee edition. No worries, Running Bear. Trust me, looking at the rules, Melee will be good. We shall see. I mean, I'm still cautiously optimistic, but we will see.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we're seeing mostly with the rules is that it's not a lot of extreme changes, just more clarifications and tightening things up. So it is more wordy. There is definitely a lot more defining sections of the core rules that kind of held with some things that fall through the cracks with 8th edition. Is that fair to say? So,
all right, you want to comb through this last bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Quickly? Stand by. Okay, you were talking about Look Out Sir, and that's one thing that I wanted to, because you're right, that's what I said, they're bringing some stuff from 7th that I thought was really interesting, and there is a bit of Look Out Sir up here. I wanted to kind of bring it up here. Come on. this.
The downside to it being a PDF, you can't just search.
I know. I really wish they made it a searchable, PDF. That would have been a little more, I think, a little more easier to go through. I mean, I can always Control F it, but okay, because I believe that was part of the. Come on, don't do that. Part of the combat or the shooting phase, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see. Okay, so we got aircraft.
Freak, exactly. They just wanted to clarify, fix the gamey parts. He thinks you're spot on saying it's not that different so far. It's just a lot clearer.
Yeah, exactly. So I could paste, deny the wage state. I think.
See, it's all these parts in the 26 are not the parts that upset me and make me feel like it's more complicated. It's the fact that we have like new pages of terrain to learn.
Right.
What everything does and have to keep in mind while you're trying to control the battle.
Right. In addition,
it's the morale step. Course, the adding an extra dice roll on top of everything.
Right.
It seems like a lot more to remember.
Right.
And yeah, it's clearer, but I'm going to forget all this fucking shit. And I'm not going to remember any of the new terrain. And honestly, I'm probably only going to learn to use one new piece of terrain each game.
Yeah.
Or actually, probably not each game.
Yeah.
It'll probably be like 3 games, especially since we don't play often.
Right.
We got to remember, we're a couple of filthy casuals. We might play 10 games in a year if we're lucky. If we're lucky, we'll get 10 games in a year. We're more likely to get 6 games in a year.
Yeah.
Just to be honest. So, I mean, it'll probably take us about 3 games to learn one new piece of terrain.
Right.
And then, we might add in another one 3 games later, and we might. But, I mean, I really don't like that they're like, let's take this. I agree the terrain rules were a little simple, but let's give you guys, like, a mother trucking dozen new terrain types to figure out.
Right.
And this one's the Malay one. This one's the one that This one makes it harder to hit you.
Right.
But you can only ever have a maximum of -1. This one makes it's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
This one is climbable. This one is climbable, but not. This one's defensible.
Right.
Like what?
Yeah, they're making as if this terrain was a unit, like a living.
Just the terrain section by itself is going to make learning the freaking board you're playing on a bitch.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yep. So here it is. This is where as soon as you said it, I know what you're talking about. Look out, sir. Models cannot target a unit that contains any character models with a wound characteristic of 9 or less with a ranged weapon, which we knew this, while that unit within 3 inches of any other friendly vehicle or monster unit, or whilst it's within 3 inches of any other friendly units that have 3 or more models, unless that character unit is both visible to the firing model and it is the closest enemy unit to the firing model. The maelstrom of battle makes it difficult to pick out such individuals. Ignore other enemy character models with a wound characteristic of 9 or less when determining if the target is the closest enemy unit to the firing model.
Okay, so it's just the new character rule, but they've given it the name.
They call it "You Look Out, Sir." So it's not. Remember when in the old one when you would sacrifice your lesser guy for a character. So basically, it's just in a nutshell: you cannot shoot an enemy character with 9 or less wounds while it's within 3 inches of a friendly unit. So that's
gotcha. So this is one of the things. This is another one I wanted to talk about last week.
Yeah.
So like the way the character works now is once they don't have once they don't have 3 models in a unit, you can target the character. And they have to be close to the squad. I can't just keep them down, around the corner. Remember that gaming thing I would do sometimes by having my Rangers hiding in terrain, and you could clearly see Cole.
Yeah.
You could clearly see Cole, and you couldn't see the Rangers, so you just couldn't shoot anything.
Yep. I hate that crap.
Now you can't do that. I have to be close to the HQ.
Right.
And the squad next to him has to have at least 3 models.
Right.
So now think about this. I can't just show up with 3 aggressors as a bodyguard and say you can't shoot me. Because then you kill one aggressor and you can kill my HQ now.
Right.
So it really makes you
You got to be
really
a little
makes
more, you got to really work at it.
bodyguarding your characters a lot more important.
Right. Yep. Let's see. The charge rules, I think, are the same. Charging within. Yeah. We looked through this here. Come on. I want to get. Let's see. Fight phase.
Unit coherency means no chains. Exactly. So now your the change to coherency. I don't know if we've got. I think we might have skipped past.
I'm trying to find it. Let me see here. Let me just see if I can.
I imagine it might be around movement or something. I'm not sure.
Unit coherency. That's going to be around 23.
So before you could daisy chain your models, and as long as they were all within 2 inches of each other in a straight line, everybody called it the conga line. Or the daisy chain is another term I've heard for it. But as long as everybody, you could spread them out as far as you wanted to, and you could make a daisy chain or conga line, and as long as they were all within 2 inches of each other, you could have that line as long as it would stretch. And a lot of people would do that to tie up objectives, or be in this combat, but have a line leading back to your captain or other HQ that would let you get rerolls and buffs. And so it would create a really gamey situation where your horde or models were all spread out in a way that gave you maximum advantage.
Right.
But as they said when they were trying to make this game more thematic, when have you ever seen an army charge in a straight line, right?
Right.
And from our Call of Duty days, that doesn't work out so well. Running in a straight line and somebody's got the LMG just mowing your guys down. So screening out deep strikes too. People would make that maximum spread to screen out your deep strike. But now if your unit has more than 5 models, they have to be within 2 inches of 2 models. So that means in most cases, if you have 10 people, anything more than 5, you're going to want to run them in rows and ranks of at least 2. So people say it's more of a box shape or a double line kind of deal, and then that way they're always within 2 inches of 2 other models. You could also do the straight line thing if you put them right next to each other and not space them out. So in theory, you could do a thin line of them all sitting right next to each other, and then that 2 inches would still get them, across one base and close enough to the next one. So, yep, it was very, very strong for things like orcs. Trying to cut down on gamey parts, having 30 orc boys that would reach from side to side of the board. Plague bearers are even worse. Yeah, plague bearers were for sure. Lars did that same thing with Grot, spreading them all over. I use small units, so it doesn't affect me, but I think, honestly, the changes could have been done a better way. I mean, I run squads of 10 for some things, like the scouts I was building, but it just seems like they're not holding up to the test of time at the moment. But scouts, my assault pack, jump packs, again, they're only half built. I've painted 5 for them. But I was building them up as a squad of 10. Blood Claws I like to run in 10s, sometimes 15s.
Yeah.
I do the big blobs sometimes, but I don't do it super often.
Let me ask you something. Do you think this can be abused? I mean, especially if, best way to get rid of your models, instead of killing them off, all I got to do is, start attacking down the middle and start breaking up the coherency.
No, because remember, defending player always chooses where they remove casualties.
Right. I know. I'm just okay. I think that'd be pretty crazy if they allow that. It's like, we're just gonna just chop you in the air. It's like, okay.
It does mean you got to be smart about removing your casualties, though.
This is true.
Because when you do your unit coherency check, if you accidentally removed models from the middle,
your SOL
instead of the ends, you could find your peeps out of coherency, during the morale change and have to kill off more. Yeah. So you got to be smarter about where you take your casualties from.
So then you got the missions, objective markers, all that stuff.
So something, Freak, that the internet has been raging about. It's kind of funny. One of the things they stated is that in missions, you'll get an extra 10 points, bonus points, if your army's fully painted, if every model's fully painted.
Wait, where do they say that? On
I
the
don't
missions?
remember where, but people have been like losing their shit over it. Probably somewhere on the missions page.
Oh, let's see here.
It's either there or at the very beginning about building your army.
Okay, let me do
Positioning the squad leaders will be trickier. I mean, this one, again, a lot of this is going to be something that I'm going to probably house rule a lot. A lot of our friends like to play gray, and I have no problem with that. For them, it's more about the game and not the hobby, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny because everybody on the internet's been losing their shit about, being, even though they phrase it bonus points, but the way a lot of people see it is they're being penalized for having a unpainted army.
Gray army. I just don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. I just.
I mean, sure, a fully painted army looks nice, but I mean,
yeah, but
I'm not going to tell I'm not going to tell my friends, "Oh, you didn't paint your army. I get 10 points."
Right. We win.
I feel like I would be that guy. I just don't want to do it. I mean, if you're in a community where people paint your armies, that's great. It's just especially that I want to keep as many of our friends in the game as possible, and especially now at a time where I have a lot of armies because I have a lot of friends getting out of the game. I want to hold as many of these friends in the game as possible.
That's
if you play with gray, have no fear.
Nope.
You can play with the frosted fist.
You
no
got
problem.
it. We have. Yep. Yeah, we will. We totally embrace you for that.
We got you, fam. We got you.
Let me bring it down here. All right. Let's see what else you got here. Come on, catch up.
It's a rule you can choose to use or not. It mostly affects tournaments. Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
that makes sense.
My favorite thing I saw during 7th edition was the house rule. All painted armies get preferred enemy. Rule against unpainted armies. The way I look at it, Death Jesters targets one model and kills it and wipes out your entire unit because of stupid rule writing.
Wow.
I'm not. Well, maybe it's because I missed. Okay. So not unless you have special target rules such as Death Jesters and Vindicares, just to name a couple ways. I must have missed something before that. Oh, okay. He uses small units, so it doesn't affect me. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can lose a lot of people to morale. Absolutely. I mean, it is a thing, but it's going to be harder to lose people to morale now.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to the smaller, to the, to the build-up, right? You start off with a small, encouraged army, and you work your way up.
Before this got announced, guys, we were talking about doing a Frost and Fist local escalation league, and one of the things we want to change it to now with 9th edition coming out, and I do plan on getting my hands on a copy of the book, is a 500 or is a not just an escalation, but what they're calling now their crusade, where you just start like an escalation. You start out with a small 500 points, and you build up, and RPG style, you can level up certain units. You can make them veteran status by fighting in certain battles and stuff like that. They gain experience along the way, and you kind of build the story. And they even give you like a little crusade journal. It's like it's either a leather, more likely a faux leather bound journal where you record all this stuff down. And actually, our patron Heinrich Botha sent me, by the way, Freak. I was going to surprise you with this. We're a little late in the show now, though. But surprised me with some of our own Frost and Fist own Crusade rosters. So RPG style, we're going to have our logo on these Crusade rosters where we can keep track of our escalation. So this would be cool.
That's so awesome. That's going to be a lot of that. It's going to be so much fun, man.
All right, Freak, you want to pick out one more thing? We should probably wrap it up soon.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. This is just covering the missions and what you look forward to. Mission instructions, muster armies, read mission briefings, and all that stuff. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to this. This is just scraping the barrel,
Sure. Do you feel a little calmer, though, actually getting to put your eyes on it?
No, not really. I mean,
it sounded like as you were reading it, you toned down a little.
Well, okay, so but we're reading the core rules, right?
Sure.
There's not a whole lot of changes there. Where the really the big changes are, like you mentioned, they're going to be all in the terrain, and I really do believe they're going to be making changes to the actual armies themselves. You know, in the codices, they're going to make changes. Yes, they said you can use your original codices or your supplement, but I guarantee you this is just the beginning. This is the start.
And let's not forget, there's a price hike going up across all models. About 10. Most of the armies are looking between 10 and 15%.
Right.
Of your units. Now, some are not very. It's not consistent. It's not like your whole army is 10% higher.
Right.
It's by unit. So, like, intercessors didn't go up as many a higher percent as tacticals.
Yeah.
So now, point for point, intercessors are a little better than your tacticals. Tacticals actually, I think they both went up by 5 points, but because tacticals were cheaper than intercessors before, you know, it was a higher tax percentage wise on tacticals.
I think what's going to happen is people are going to be playing smaller numbers, kind of like it seems that it's pushing into, you know, smaller scale games. You know, like what we're going to do, 500 points, right? We're going to start up small, and I think that might be the new norm. I think that's what's going to happen is they're going to try to, you know, make smaller games, which is not necessarily bad. It's just like I like to bring out all my toys, you know, when I play.
Oh yeah, no, I mean. So. The way they were talking, they're still going to make the average game size 2,000 points. You're just going to fit less in 2,000 points.
Right. Of course, you know.
I'm looking forward to the prospect of starting out with 500 points and building up to 2,000 and see where we get, though.
Yeah.
Especially since, like, my wolves, I could just pick 2,000 points right now, right? But I've only got about 400 points of orcs right now. Well, as far as painted and ready to go.
Right.
And so, you know, I'm going to have to pick and choose. You know, what do I paint up this week to try and make that next game? You know, it's going to be kind of exciting.
Yeah.
Driving.
Yeah, I think that's what's gonna be really make it interesting, especially when you're setting up or designing your own army, because it's going to be like a fresh, different army each time, right? You know, you can't pretty much run the same thing, especially if you're moving up in points. So.
Yeah. Running Bear says it shouldn't be a huge chain. We'll probably only lose about 1 unit in a 2K list, judging by that, you know, 10 to 15%. That makes sense. Gamecraft Dragon says to rub your belly and give you foods, and we'll all be fine.
I want berry rub.
Running Bear says, "Thank you. I really hope you guys have a great 4th of July.
Thank you.
And to all non-Americans, hope you have a great weekend as well." Thank you so much, brother. I hope you have a great weekend as well. Any closing thoughts, Freak?
I'm not mad. I'm nervous. I get loud. So no, I'm actually.
An uncertain freak is almost as dangerous for a different reason, but almost as dangerous as an angry freak.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it, like your personality type, you thrive on consistency.
Right.
And so when things are uncertain, you know, it very naturally, you know, can affect that.
Right. I mean, and like I said, as long as somebody can explain to me, okay, this is the reason why this is being done, I'm like, done. You know, I'm good with it. I'm okay with it. But I'm not okay with, you know, hey, let's follow blindly, and I don't do that.
Here's some consistency. I'm always going to take some cavalry. They're probably always going to die every game. That's been normal. They might. What changes throughout the editions is whether or not they do any damage before they die off.
Yeah,
that's what changes.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, again, it's gonna. I think it's gonna be fun. Honestly, this is the real truth. If I was able to handle 7th edition, and I was a scrub at the time, I think we can handle 9th. It's just gonna like we said, it's just gonna take a little learning. It's gonna take a little more, you know, understanding, and we'll get there. So
yeah. And Running Bear, I'm still hoping our Space Wolves will be okay. He says he might be more of a Dark Angels player in 9th than a Space Wolf, and he hates saying that, but I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, I have to agree. Yeah. I'm
Gamecraft
actually
Dragon
looking
says
forward
the
to
terrain
doing it.
rules seem like a lot, but being super honest,
Yeah.
once you put a few pieces of terrain on the table and stick figures on them, they start to make sense. And I mean, we'll see. I like I said, I'm still cautiously optimistic. I'm doing a lot of bitching because I'm just voicing my uncertainties, kind of like you, Freak.
Yep.
However, I'm actually still as much of bitching as I have done tonight, except for the towel, down with the towel. As much bitching as I have done tonight, I'm actually still cautiously optimistic and hopeful for 9th edition and see what it brings.
And I don't want, and the thing is, I don't want, and the reason why I bring both sides of the table here is because I don't want people that are looking out, we're in 8th edition and looking at these major changes. They have to remember, there's a lot of people that have that thought, right, or the way they see things and that perspective, and they're looking at all these changes like, oh God, why, Let's see what happens. Let's look at the full picture. Let's see what we get completely with the rules, and then make a decision then.
Sure.
And
let's play through them.
Yes.
Just looking at it. And I think Big B's spot on with that, right? Like looking at some of these rules looks like a lot, but may not be as bad in practice. Right.
Exactly. Put it on a table, man.
Anything they do will be less complicated than 7th. Amen.
I agree. I have to agree. I think from what the core rules show, I think we're still safe from 7th.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm like I said, just a little nervous about learning all the terrain, but again, we can work on that.
You go listen to Jay this weekend.
Yep.
I'll listen to Auspex Tactics. We'll meet in the middle next week, and then we'll see how we feel.
Sounds good.
And of course, over the next couple weeks. By the way, my local hobby store, said that I have a pretty good shot at getting one on Saturday. Not tomorrow. Next Saturday morning, getting one reserved. So hopefully, I'll get a box. Definitely hoping to get there and get one reserved.
Did we find out what the actual cost was, Methos?
$199.
$199.
Yep. So, and they're limited copies, by the way. I don't know if you heard, but there's only about 5,000 for all of North America.
Wow.
They're going to be very limited, so you got to get in early on the reserves, man.
Wow.
If you plan on getting one, I don't know if you plan on getting one.
Yeah. We'll see. $200.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for joining us and paying attention. First of all, if you've been with us since the technical difficulties and the hour-long crap show at the beginning, wow, we appreciate you.
And sorry at the same time.
We appreciate everyone who's been watching tonight. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Thanks. A big shout out and thank you to our patrons who help, keep what we're doing. And maybe one day we'll move past some of this potato that we've got here. I'm going to go ahead and thank my patrons now. So this is your warning, guys. Your Wolf Brother gets a little loud and excited, but it's after midnight here, so maybe not as loud and excited.
And I can't do the mic thing because this mic's not working, so I'll just have to, just cheer you on. So do it.
All right, but big shout out and thank you to our Bloodclaw, Heinrich Botha.
Yeah!
Bloodclaw, Running Bear.
Yeah.
Bloodclaw, Richard at the Nerd Life.
You go, man.
Bloodclaw, Big Mac Dansko.
Because you got a Big Mac.
Bloodclaw, Brian the Mini War Mutt.
You're a mutt, Brian.
Bloodclaw, Big D at the Gamecraft Dragon.
You got a Big E.
Bloodclaw, Chief, Live Gaming.
Chief.
Bloodclaw, Inquisitor Zane. Bloodclaw, Zack the Crimson Painter.
Always red.
Grey Hunter, Brother Roxas.
Where's an IT?
Grey Hunter, KaijuShorts.
I like his shorts.
Wolfguard, Kalo.
Pull the pants down.
Wolfguard, Commodore.
Not the computer.
The ever mysterious Wolf Lord, Anonymous.
Where?
the all-powerful Wolf Lord Mix,
Got the cheeks, got the cheeks, got... Oh, sorry.
and our Smash Captain, the wielder of the Banhammer, the ultimate Wolf Lord Archer.
Hey, I saw him doing some smashing earlier. Good job, Archer.
Thank you guys so much for making everything we do happen. We really appreciate you guys. Have a great night. Thank you so much for spending it with us. We apologize that we missed Art of the Week tonight due to the technical stuff and all the news, and just some of it was just us being nonsense for part of the show, and a lot of salt and bitching. We missed Art of the Week for a lot of reasons.
Sorry.
We'll definitely make sure to get in more Art of the Week next week.
Michael,
and we'll try not to have a potato next week. So thank you so much for watching, guys. If you liked tonight's episode, make sure that you grab up an axe and smash that like button in the name of the Emperor. Drop some comments down below and feel free to be part of any of these ridiculous conversations. Go check out KaijuShorts. Link him again right here at the end. So as soon as you're done with us, feel free to go check our brother out. Wonderful, wonderful guest tonight. Awesome to hang out with. Really great guy. And I definitely highly recommend his channel. Fantastic. If you guys are not yet subscribed to either Kaiju or us, then Freakalicious.
what the hell?
Would love to have, and I would love to have you as part of the pack here on the Frost and Fist. Until next time, guys. Stay frosty.
Tonight, we are going to witness the most anticipated live stream in the history of YouTube streaming for Warhammer 40k. Are you ready? Viewers, are you ready for the dozens watching live and the hundreds watching afterwards from Frost and Fist? Let's get ready to launch!